Ow, ow, ow. Hey, it's the Bennington Show. Ron Bennington, Gail Bennington.
Yo.
Thanks to the White Stripes for covering a Burt Bacharach song for some unknown reason.
Very strange reason, but it is part of the film directors music videos week. And the director of this video, anyone know? Anyone?
Do not know.
Sofia Coppola.
Oh.
Ah.
The lovely Sofia Coppola.
Ah.
Oh.
Oscar winner.
Yeah.
Academy Award winner.
Mm-hmm.
Sofia Coppola. And the winner is Sofia Coppola.
Yes!
No. Only for writing, not for directing. Do you ever notice how many times that they do that? That they'll take the people we like and just give them the writing.
All your favorite directors, everyone, they always get the writing award, as though that's some sort of consolation prize.
Like, we're not going to give you the important award. Here's the shit award that anyone can do right.
But really, it's what makes the best movie. You can't have a really good movie with a shit story. I don't care how beautiful the movie is. It might be an interesting experience, but if you don't have a good story...
I could give you one. Any comic book thing. I'll just say this. Captain America, the dead of winter, that somebody just had teams against each other. No one even knows what those movies are about.
Yeah,
and yet they get billions of dollars.
But they're not really good movies. You might be entertained by them in the moment.
You're elitist.
That's what I keep hearing.
You're an elitist. I'm trying to think. A good movie with a shitty script. I mean, I can think of plenty of big movies. Like Armageddon was a ridiculous plot. And then terrible dialogue. And I believe it was the #1 movie of the year.
Yeah, it probably was. And I guess that's a different type of... You're stimulating something different. You're like, this is not good, but I like it. Like, I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun watching it.
But why isn't that good? If something makes people feel good, why is it not good? And I know a lot of people will say, how was the movie? They'll go, well, it was good for what it was, which somehow even so-called, and they're not film critics anymore. That, you know, when you go to Rotten Tomatoes, people go like, oh, this movie got a 97%. Yes, but not one of those people do you respect. But we know, like, a lot of movies we don't consider to even attempt to be good. Like, from this point on, we have now entered the time where people are much easier on movies than they are in the winter. You know?
Yeah, that is true. But I think, I don't know, something has changed about the way film is received.
You know what? We ought to get Leslie back in here one day. She and I go back and she'll just tell me she saw something horrible with a great person. It's our new thing that we talk about. People that we thought were going to be great, and then they do these things, maybe because you have to these days. But I'll just give away one of the names. This fucking Jennifer Lawrence goes out of her way to be in a lot of shitty franchises because that's the way you stay a movie star these days.
Yeah, you have to stay relevant. But she had the
How is
makings.
that relevant, though? You mean monetarily relevant?
Yeah. But she had the makings of somebody who was not going to go that route. It felt like that in the beginning.
Doesn't she still do the one for them, one for me, though, where she'll go get nominated for making Joy?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we're at the point where, okay, she did Joy. Let's nominate her for that. I don't know. Does anyone... I know that there's an entire generation that doesn't, probably 2 generations, who've never had to deal with the term sellout. You don't have a problem being a sellout. That used to be the worst thing that you could say about a band or a director or a movie star. This person is a sellout.
They're just doing it for money.
They just did it for money. And now, you know, now that we have pop stars that immediately put out a fucking perfume the day that they have a hit record. Like, I don't know too many pop stars who don't have a perfume.
Yeah, well, and also part of that was like that big change that happened when celebrities started to be in commercials in the U.S. I mean, do you remember when it used to be like, oh my God, did you know this person goes to Japan and they make these goofy commercials?
Right, you would find out like Woody Allen or Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
And you're like, that can't be true. It's immediately as soon as you can see video on the internet, you start to see that. And you're like, I can't believe this.
Yeah, it was big movie stars like Brad Pitt doing, a denim company's commercial, and you'd be like, yeah, he would never do that. That would be so embarrassing. Now, all movie stars, actors, directors, everybody, they all do commercials, and it's no longer.
All right, is there somebody out there that you think is a pure artist that doesn't sell out? Now, by the way, that person had to have had the opportunity to sell out. You know, it's very easy to say Chris Stanley, he's not a sellout.
That's right.
Because nobody wants him for art or commerce. All right, Joey's waving his hand at me. Joey, do you have a name?
I think Leonardo DiCaprio is someone who hasn't sold out yet.
I don't even know where to begin.
He only does like Oscar movies, and he never does interviews. He never does any press. He's kind of an enigma. He's kind of an artist in that sense.
Yeah, well, I would agree that he it's not like he's doing commercials and he's not doing comic book movies. He's definitely doing movies, not as good roles, I think, as he did early on when he was younger.
But he's trying. He's working with the best directors, and just because Marty Scorsese lost something off his fastball, should we blame Leo on that? Leo might be a good. This is a guy who very easily could have been Iron Man, but doesn't want to.
Yeah, and I would say I would put even Sean Penn in that category where.
Category or scategory?
Scategory. I'll put him in that category where he could definitely do shittier things. You might not love everything he's done.
No, I agree with you. I would agree with Sean Penn.
And he kind of does his own weird thing. He's just into his own weird scene.
All right, here's James in Oregon. James, what's up, buddy?
Hey, buddies. How we doing?
Cool.
This guy said to me, this is a touchy subject. I'm throwing myself on a limb here, and I'm going to throw out 3 movies real quick that I think are bad stories, but are good movies. And that's 1 was Dead Poet Society, 2, Mr. Holland's Opus, 3 would be The Crying Game.
All right. Yeah.
It's all over the place.
No, not really. All these movies came out within 6 months of each other, I think.
No, it's hard I have not seen the Crying Game in many years. Looking back on it, was that a bad script? Was it a bad story?
I don't think it was a bad story. I thought it was an attempt. I don't remember it that well. Mr. Holland's, he's gone.
No, we wanted to talk to you.
I know. You, first of all, you get nothing but our respect for having, for putting up 3.
And the rapid fire, he did it.
Yeah, you put up 3, and then you're like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I heard Chris laugh.
Mr. Holland's Opus, okay, I can't address that one just yet, but the first one, what was the first? Dead Poet Society.
Yeah.
Cheesy, but I don't know if I would go so far as to say bad writing or a bad script. Certainly saccharine.
Aimed
times.
at the young. You know what I mean? You had to aim that one at the young. I don't remember it being, the whole thing of, I don't know that kind of school, but does anyone sit around and just talk about poets that way? Right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Can't exist in reality.
It's a good title for a movie, though, you have to admit.
Dead Poet Society?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Or band.
Yeah.
It could be a band.
And I'll never say anything bad with anything with Robert Williams now, who, Mr. Holland's Opus, I thought was just pure fucking cheese. And I
wouldn't, I think I would say that one isn't a good movie. I wouldn't say it's unwatchable, but if somebody said, name a good movie, it'd take me a couple years till I got around to, Mr. Holland's Opus. I don't think I would.
Ran out of movies. I guess Holland's Opus is up.
That was, I always have a thing because of Bronx Johnny.
Oh, yeah.
Because when Richard Dreyfuss, and I'm not even going to repeat this story. I don't think I have ever told it on air because of Johnny's borderline racism. I'll just say this. We were standing next to Richard Dreyfuss. I think he had done what was O&A's show at the time. And we were just coming in the door, and Bronx Stein's like this. N-word made me cry, boss. And I'm like, right, what? What are you talking about? He goes, right there. That N-word made me cry. And I was like, why, John? He goes, you know, those kids have fucked up ears and all. I couldn't do it. I could not do it, boss.
Who would think that you could call Richard Dreyfuss that?
Yeah, which is, there's no connection at all.
Term of endearment.
I don't know. Jason, Narlings.
Hey, how you doing, y'all?
Hey, man.
First person immediately comes to mind for me, hasn't sold out, Tom Waits.
I would agree with that. I think I would agree with Tom Waits.
Yeah.
Just, he refuses to...
I'm making this in a bathtub.
I don't even know if that's a song, Tom.
It's kind of went crazier and crazier over the years.
But he aged into that character so well. Like, he was playing that character when he was, like, in his 20s.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm an old man. And
Back when I was melodic.
just a little hobo. I'm walking down the street. And then eventually he actually was the age of somebody, this character.
Right uh-oh. Don't need to make up.
All right, thanks, man. Peace. It's almost like if you were a guy who dressed up as a clown, and then one day you just found out that you just had a clown face. You didn't even need to put on makeup anymore. Hey, Rob, what's happening, buddy?
Hey, guys, big fan.
Yeah.
Bigger Chris Stanley fan for some reason.
Don't blame you. Don't blame me.
Who isn't?
He's the guy.
In real life, he might be a fuck up, but on the radio, he's gold.
That's true. So true.
I don't know. But go ahead.
I was calling about James Bond movies. I
Terrible.
think they're absolute shit as far as stories go, but you leave your brain at the door, you fucking buckle up, you go for a ride.
I've never seen a Bond. Never one Bond.
Well, I'll say this. I've never watched one all the way through. Now, here's what's weird. I was in this conversation last night because, oddly enough, I was sitting there enjoying The Man from U.N.C.L.E. based solely on the clothes that they were wearing. Everybody was fucking dressed great. Yes, the new one. I wasn't sitting around watching 1965 TV. Have you seen the movie Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
I have not seen that one. No.
They have the It Girl in it. She won the Best Supporting Actress last year. She's a Swedish girl who looks and she was also in the movie where she played a robot, a dancing robot. But she either looks 5 years old or like in a complete knockout. Shot by shot, it changes. Give me her name, Chris.
Elizabeth Debicki?
Come on, dude. Does that sound like a Swedish fucking person?
Alicia Vikander?
Yes, that's it. Does that sound like a Swedish person?
Yes.
She is. She was in The Danish Girl. She won the Academy Award last year. But there is this thing. And then what was the movie that she played a robot?
Ex Machina.
Yeah, Ex Machina. She was the beautiful robot. But she either looks like the most stunning woman you've ever seen or a toddler that a large man is making out with. It's the weirdest thing that you've ever seen.
That's a strange type of Two-Face.
Yeah.
Adult to baby Two-Face.
It is. It's a 2-year-old face is what it is.
But do you think that I would like the 007s?
You like the style. You like that kind of a mod cool style. And it's like Italian clothes and cars and shit.
I feel like I would enjoy that aspect of it. Yeah. I've seen the clothes. I know several of the songs, and they're good. I love that Nancy Sinatra "You Only Live Twice" song.
Oh, now you're going back to Bond.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not talking about Bond at all.
Oh,
they're fucking terrible.
Oh, I wouldn't like them.
No.
You could watch them if you want. I mean, they're really not good. They're not good. They're purposely not good.
A lot of sexy stuff, right?
No.
That's a shit show. When they say like he's a player.
PG. They're PG at best.
Oh, really? I thought that there was like really some like hardcore stuff going on.
Then they went through a long time where they're really comic book. They went through like a 20-year period where they were like gadgety and dumb.
Yeah, so I rewatched like a Pierce Brosnan one, like the first like 20 minutes, like a couple years ago. I was like, how is this popular? Like it's just like slapstick almost. The Pierce Brosnan ones, which are supposed to be
if
like more
it says the word James Bond is popular. It's been popular since 1963.
They always do well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the biggest franchise of all time.
Maybe I'll have a summer of Bond.
Enjoy yourself. Let us know when you tap out, because it's coming. Hey, Steve, what's up, buddy?
Hey, I was going to say, P.T. Anderson, anything you see that he does, you've got a good feeling that he's doing exactly what he wants to do.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
If nothing else.
But I will say I think it's easier for directors to control that kind of thing. It seems more difficult for actors.
Why? Directors work 20% of the time than an actor does. Puts all themselves into it and makes less money. There's no reason that a movie star has to feel like I got to make $25 million a year. You don't have to do that. That's your fucking choice. When you're like, I better take this franchise. Right. I need the money. That much?
My agent says I have to.
Right.
Because my agent wants the money too.
But I think of how many of these people that are in franchise movies now that are $1 billion films that I don't believe are movie stars. They're not movie stars unless they're in those movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not true movie stars. They can't go make another movie and draw people in the way, let's say, Tom Cruise was always able to do. If you would go see a Tom Cruise movie or an Arnold movie, but now I believe you go see Captain Kirk, not the guy who plays Captain Kirk. And he's in a couple different franchises, right?
Yeah, it's Chris Pine, I believe.
Right. But what else is he in besides Captain Kirk?
I think he showed up in an X-Men movie. I think he was one of like a younger X-Men.
So most of the X-Men are the same way. They're not true. Like, I will say that Jennifer Lawrence is indeed a movie star.
Yeah, she's a movie star, and I think someone might go to the movie theater and be like, I don't know what I want to see. I know Jennifer Lawrence is in this new movie.
I did it this year. I did it. We had a Sunday, and we were walking around Brooklyn, and it was cold, too cold, and I'm like, let's go to the movies. And there was a bunch of films that I didn't give a shit about, and I chose the Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, God.
Now, I would say...
Why am I in here? She's fucking marketing a mop. Who gives a fuck?
Now, I would say that George Clooney is a movie star, but do you think he has that kind of thing where people would just be like, I'm going to see the new George Clooney movie?
It's a very good point. I think he is more well-known than he is an actual put the asses in a seat movie star. Matter of fact, I don't know the last time he had a hit. And he and Julia Roberts have a movie coming out in a couple of weeks. It'll be interesting to see if anybody shows up for it.
Another Ocean?
No, I wish it was a Danny Ocean and Friends. This is, I don't know, it's where he kind of plays a guy who has a money TV show. And
I saw the trailer for this.
Come across some kind of actual, real, true secret.
And there's a guy with a gun running around the trailer.
Oh, yeah, there's going to be a guy with a gun. It's a movie. You know what I mean? It's a movie. Somebody's got to have a gun.
Looks like a lot of suspense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of suspense.
Geez. I think it's going to work out, though. I think, here's my prediction.
You don't think he'll die?
No. I think he's going to end up kissing that Julia Roberts. I think they're going to start kissing each other.
You're going to kiss last scene of the movie, then it's just going to be, everything's going to be just fine. Yeah. Bad guy's dead.
Yeah.
And everything's going to be fine.
And then he'll look at her and go, what do you think? Pizza? And then we'll all laugh. Because we'll
remember earlier?
Yeah,
when
he dropped that pizza.
Right, exactly.
God damn it. Well, like the guy who plays Deadpool. Deadpool is a movie star.
Yeah.
But the guy who plays him has been in a million fucking bombs.
Yeah.
Million.
Nothing but.
What about Brad Pitt? Would people say, I'm going to go see the new Brad Pitt no matter what?
I don't know if anyone is that big of a movie star, like Jimmy Cagney, where people just showed up to see him. But I think if I were to pick a movie, and a lot of times it has to be more with seeing it on cable than leaving my house for it, I'll watch a Brad Pitt.
Yeah, it's not like you would see a trailer for a movie that didn't look very good, but you would say, well, Brad Pitt's in it. Could be okay. I'm going to go to the theater.
Again, it's like, Bruce Willis was that way.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Willis, but you didn't have as many entertainment choices as you had today. And people were, it's hot, it's the summer. Brad Pitt is fighting some English guys that seem like they're evil. Let's go, I mean, Brad Pitt not Brad Pitt. Bruce Willis made a ton of shitty movies.
Oh, man.
A ton.
Yeah.
Maybe he's made 4 or 5 good movies out of the 90 that he's made.
And it's funny because I give him a full pass for that.
Full pass.
Yeah, completely. For those couple roles, I'm just like, love him. He's great.
Love the Bruce Willis. Even though no one who works with him seems to feel that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors swirling that he's not pleasant.
Oh, these are past the rumor stage.
It's confirmed.
Kevin Smith has done an hour on it. And it's fucking fascinating. Seriously, Kevin Smith has talked about it, has written about it, and it's just fascinating. And there's part of me that still is like, well, that's kind of cool. Where Bruce Willis is just like, no, we won't be shooting that scene today. It looks ridiculous. And it's in the movie. And the movie hinges on it.
Yeah.
But, it's getting late in the day, and I'd have to climb up high. I don't want to do that shit.
Not doing it. Now, what about for comedy movies? Do you think someone like a Will Ferrell or a Steve Carell has that kind of pull where somebody will not sure about the trailer? But
Adam Sandler is the guy.
Oh, yeah, Adam
Sandler is the guy that people show up to see. Adam Sandler. That, and I would say that I would say Jim Carrey's had that kind of run, and you brought up whether it's Will Ferrell or whatever. Comedians get that where you're like, I'm going to see the comedian. I don't know if anybody ever had the run that Adam Sandler had.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. The Adam Sandler from 92 to 94, whenever that career started, was like, this has nothing to do with the critics. This is me and my audience, and that's it.
Yeah.
Every comedian has to do that at some point. You know what I mean? Where I'm not making this for any kind of accolades. I'm making this to make fucking people laugh in the dark. But no one went on the run that Sandler did. Normally you get, I don't know, 4 or 5 year run like that. Galifianakis had it for 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
Now he's doing TV. But yeah, I think we choose comedies based on the performer more than anything else.
Yeah, because you're going to be aware that you're going to deal with a silly plot in most cases. You're like, okay, but I know this performer, this comedian's going to be usually some version of himself, I think. Because you've already decided you like the dude.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's got to be some kind of, and I mean that was true 70 years ago. You know what I mean? Like you didn't go there and say, "Wow, Zeppo Marx, Harpo Marx, Groucho Marx, they just disappeared into those characters.
Right.
We didn't even see them there." I can only think of one comedian who has really done that, and that's Peter Sellers. You know what I mean? That would disappear and stuff.
Yeah, you're right. He was like a really perfect hybrid of actor and comedian, or comedy actor.
Right.
Where you would lose him in the character, but you weren't saying, man, but I came here to see Peter Sellers. I thought this was going to be a Peter Sellers.
This has kind of been Dana Carvey, and we got this Tuesday. Dana Carvey is the type of guy who disappears into his characters, and it never really translated into movies. Here is David. David, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Ronnie, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy went on a run in the 80s where if he had a movie come out, you're going to see the new Eddie Murphy movie.
No doubt. Now, here's the difference, though. The 80s was a lot less there was less everything in the 80s. Yeah. But when Eddie Murphy...
Steven Seagal had such a huge career.
Who?
Steven Seagal, remember?
Yeah, it wasn't as huge as you would think. Go back and look at the grosses of those films, and they were somewhere around $16-17 million. They weren't. He was definitely a B-level guy that you would go see, but Eddie Murphy was $100 million back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And a lot of times $200 million. You know, when you look at those Beverly Hills Cops movie, people were fucking lined up around the planet to see Eddie Murphy in that. And the funny thing is, go back and watch them now. There's not even a lot of laughs in those. Those were fucking action movies.
It's a cop movie, right?
Yeah, he was just running around fucking doing cop shit. Every once in a while, you know, he would just yell out, "Put that shit down, white boy," and we would just fucking dive on the ground. We were laughing so hard.
It's great.
I saw people just fucking dry swimming down the aisle. They were so fucking happy with him. I don't know whether we've had a movie star as big as Eddie Murphy was. Gigantic fucking movie star.
Yeah. I mean, he was pretty much the top. What year did he kind of hit that peak level?
I would say 84. Like, it was Eddie Murphy, Prince, and Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they were all gigantic.
Because Eddie Murphy, to me, was one of those first familiar, like, immediate celebrity faces. Like, I remember being young and, like, knowing who he was very, like, immediately.
Yeah.
So he was at that top of, like, this is what a movie star is.
And by the way, he was like Vito's age when he broke. I mean, he was a fucking kid. He was a teenager on SNL and took the show over. And he had been doing, you know, comedy for just a couple years. And before you know it, he's got these giant movies. He's fucking selling out stadiums on a tour. And when you would go and see Eddie Murphy, right, there would be just like this screen and be lit up so you would just see Eddie's fucking shadow. And the place would go fucking bananas for a comedian. He was like Elvis the comedian.
Wow.
Like, he was doing stand-up, and women were swooning, and guys were yelling, "I just want to just be like you, Eddie Murphy." You know, there were people in his audience dressed like him. It was fucking stupid. And then he thought, I can do anything. I'll put out a song called Party all the time. And everybody's like, I don't know, Eddie Murphy. I don't know.
Can't follow you for this one.
Here is Hero Pup. Hero Pup, what's up?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Hero Pup.
How you doing?
That was big, Gail. I came out of nowhere.
Well, it's Hero Pup.
Always good to hear from him.
All right, Ron, you know me. I don't like to speak ill of the dead, but Prince was not a good actor. And Purple Rain would have been a terrible movie without the music.
Well, the thing was that, I mean, most musicals blow, so they had that going for them. But they had already trained us in the 80s that shitty acting goes along with a music video. Like, that fucking Thriller thing is the worst piece of shit you could ever see in your life. And that's still around today. Where people are like, that fucking Thriller video scared the shit out of me. Like, really? Because it fucking blew. By the way, so did the song.
Too long.
Yeah. Too long and too awful. It's a thriller, and there's fucking monsters coming around.
No need for this.
Shut the fuck up.
But what about when they go, like, make scary monster?
No. You know what? You know what I call that fucking song? Monster Mash. It's the same thing.
I think even all the dancing is a little overrated in it as well.
Yes. All that, because it's Broadway dancing.
Yeah. The only move that I really like is this one that they do when they do, like, the shimmy shoulder one. And they go around in a circle.
But
That's
here's
the
what
best
bothers me. Why is everyone doing it? That's the fucking annoyance.
They all just got the Thriller bug.
See, that's the thing. I like fucking people who dance like James Brown, not somebody who's studied steps and they're counting in their head. I like a motherfucker dancing because he can't stop himself. You know? Elvis fucking dancing around like a fucking idiot. That's dancing to me. That, come on, let's get everybody in. Get everybody back in. Wipe your faces, and 3, 2. That's not fucking rock and roll.
But it's also, shouldn't the performer want to look like they're doing something that no one else can do? Like, isn't that kind of what it means to be in the spotlight, is like, you're in the center, so it's like, I'm dancing in a way that's unique to me, and I'm singing in a way.
Like James Brown, whether you're like, this motherfucker lost his mind. Look at him. He's fucking herking and jerking and spazzing out. But when I see your fucking Beyonce, LA fucking Laker cheerleaders. That's all I see. It's fucking nothing. It's 5, 6, 7, 8. Follow me. Follow the gay guy out front. Look at me. Dance like me. You're out. Stupid dancing.
Yeah, but Beyonce kills it. She's great.
I just see her dancing the same as the fucking people behind her. The 8 fucking people still doing the flying V behind her. It's when we're literally talking about sellout, it's exactly what we're talking about.
But
that is a fucking corporation.
You can't even call her a sellout because like she's been a pop star since she was a kid. Like that's just what she does. It's not even like she had some sort of other thing.
So that's like saying, oh, hey, Manson, that's what he does. He's a fucking killer. That's all.
How's that the same?
It's exactly the same. You're giving her the fucking benefit for being soulless.
No,
You're saying, here's a fucking soulless corporation. And it's the same way for the people who go, hey, that's what you should expect when you go see a Star Wars movie. It's the same thing.
Adele just called her Jesus fucking Christ.
Adele's the real deal.
Adele loves her. She thinks that she's like the most talented broad going.
I fucking, Chris Stanley loves fucking Game of Thrones. You're going to have to accept people on that level. But you know what I mean?
Game of Thrones is Jesus fucking Christ, Adele, okay? So get off your ass.
Jesus fucking Christ was my camp counselor.
Steve in St. Paul. How are
How's it going? Very good. How you doing today?
Good.
Has anybody brought up Bill Murray yet?
No, we haven't brought up Bill Murray.
I know he's probably, you probably couldn't 100% call him not a sellout because he did do the Garfield movies. But I mean,
but he was confused.
Go to see a Bill Murray picture.
Let me just tell you something about Bill Murray. He basically lives at I don't give a fuck Avenue. And that, to me, is like we're talking fucking Beyonce. I guarantee she's some kind of weird control freak who bought that, Bill Murray fucking shows up, says, why can't I shoot this in my own clothes? And off he goes. Bill Murray is not a sellout.
But all pop stars end up being a sellout because that's what pop music is. It's like, it's about the masses. It's popular. It's like, that's just what it is. It's like, that's her genre.
It's the exact thing with a fucking serial killer as a serial killer. We literally came up with somebody who isn't a sellout. Just because you sold out from day one doesn't mean that you fucking got off on that thing. That's the day that your fucking soul left.
I feel like that's the nature of the beast with pop music.
Then let's fucking say the same exact thing about comic book movies. It's the nature of the beast to be a corporate thing. Then let's just that's completely on the other side of this. You can't go along and go, the sellout thing, and then give her credit because she sold out from fucking day one.
Would you say Prince was a sellout among pop stars?
Oh, he was the exact opposite. He was a fucking maniac. No one knew what the fuck he was up to. I'm sure there was fucking certain days that fucking Prince just put a fucking razor dorsal fin on his fucking head, jumped in the pool and started chasing around his fucking underlings.
That's just Prince. That's how he do.
Prince was his own fucking deal. Period. You can't get around it. Here's Chris in New Jersey.
Hey man, I gotta say it's probably Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, if you look at his IMDb for the last 30 years, he barely picks anything, but when he does, he pops up, kills it, and then disappears again.
Yeah,
probably
the only Daniel Day-Lewis thing that you could fucking say matters to him is that he really does go around like a politician on those Oscar things. Like, he really wants that fucking statue. There's no doubt. Like, he doesn't do shit except for he goes to every Oscar lunch that there is.
He works it.
And he meets every one of those fucking ballot people. You know? That's it. But I honestly do think that he's probably a mad fucking loon. You know?
Yeah. He's like acting like Lincoln on set. Like
not even on set. He'll fucking go back to his house. His fucking children have to put up with him acting like Lincoln all the time.
Like, nope.
Because he acts like I can't lose it. Stop it.
Bullshit.
I'm still Lincoln.
Yeah. Why don't you just go back to your trailer, be yourself, then take a half an hour to fucking ramp up the Lincoln thing again.
If that's true, then are you still Lincoln after you get the paycheck? Like, if you really are like, I need this, I need to stay to Lincoln.
Well, what, if that is the thing, why aren't you screaming every time you see a plane?
Lincoln doesn't understand.
Iron Bird! There's an iron bird up there!
Bennington doesn't use cell
By the way,
phones.
I think the winner of this whole thing is Joey.
Yeah, Joe, that was a good one.
Thanks, guys. Also, do you think they paid Daniel Day-Lewis in $5 bills for the movie Lincoln? And
Why
pennies?
is my face on this? What was that Lincoln fucking voice they did too?
It was kind of.
Score 7 years ago, wherever you
I thought it was like higher than that. Like
Yeah,
it's
it
almost
was
like
pretty high.
like that kind of Mankind sounds. Like he was going really high.
Sacco doesn't want slavery.
Why is Lincoln in a boiler room?
Look, I got news for you. This fucking Lincoln movie that he won the Oscar for, no one has watched twice.
Why would you? Why would you watch it the first time? I'm sure most of the people gave him the nod for it. It was like, yeah, it's Daniel Day-Lewis. I guess he had to have won.
I saw it at a fucking movie theater, right?
Yeah.
Halfway through, the manager of the theater walks out and said, "It's okay if you start texting." I do not mind.
Bullshit.
I saw it. And I don't even remember it. I feel like it just completely left me as soon as I left the theater.
I didn't even bother. I turned it off 20 minutes in and read the Wikipedia.
You know, going back to Prince, there is
know what
like
happened with Lincoln?
90 fucking stories a day about Prince. Yesterday, Gene Simmons, I forget what Gene said, but basically that he was a fucking loser for killing himself.
Yeah.
The other guys in the band had to say, Gene, don't listen to Gene. His tongue is so thick you barely can understand him. He's got a cow's tongue. He had an operation where a cow's tongue was put in his mouth.
Why did he feel the need to comment on it though?
Because he's straight edge. And every time somebody is straight edge, they want to act like they're never going to die. Because, you know what I mean?
Because God forbid they have a drink or whatever.
But I think that comes from any drug overdose, people find out someone died of a drug overdose or suicide or whatever. They have to find out what that thing is quickly, figure out that it has nothing to do with them so they can feel more comfortable about death. They're like, yeah, that could never happen to me because I'm not an addict, so I will never die.
Yeah, they're petrified of death themselves, so they want to go, that person caused their death. It's like if you watched or read the book, The Right Stuff, they were always like, it's the pilot's fault. The pilot's fault. There's nothing wrong with the planes, because they were testing fucking planes. But you wouldn't go out in a plane if you thought half of us could die because these fucking planes aren't ready yet.
Right.
So you could always act like that fucking dude fucked up. He's a jerk. Yeah. So it's got
You'd
nothing.
never do that.
So I'm safe. So yeah, we want to feel like the other person was broken. But in the way of Prince, apparently, he was one of those guys who became addicted because he had injuries before. I'm like, he wasn't. Elvis was the same way. These are not guys who were copping on the street the way I did. They were going to their doctor. Their doctor was saying, you have this problem. Here, take this. And it felt, this is the same dope that anybody else would be getting.
Yeah, and it's getting out of hand because eventually any type of pain management, whatever that thing is going to wear off. So people tend to just take more and more. It's just like regular people build up a kind of tolerance, and then, they can't control it after that.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's true of everyone. I'm not sure if everyone doesn't go immediately, because I know people who are like, I took a pill and I threw up and I didn't like it at all. Why would anyone want to feel that way? And some people take a pill and like, I need another pill. You fucking gave me only one pill and I need more pills to feel good again. Again. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he's a cutter, and I'm like, I didn't even know guys did that.
It's just girls, though, right?
That's what I thought up to this point, but that's,
There's a couple dudes.
There's some dudes that cut, too.
Johnny Depp was a cutter.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I don't like to out people when they have problems.
Well,
like
I think he outed himself on it.
I thought maybe you were a friend of his. But like, I don't comprehend the cutting thing at all. But, I always wondered, was there even cutting until people started to talk about it? Like, did somebody invent cutting for themselves?
There has to be a
or
patient
did they
zero.
read about it?
Like, you want to know, is there any, like, Victorian era cutters who were just, like,
Yeah,
teen girls who...
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember reading about it when I was a kid. And then, like, once the 90s rolled around, you're like, cutting. Coming up tonight at 11. All girls cut. And some dudes do, too.
Check their inner thighs.
So they're saying that they feel so numb from the world that they cut and it releases a little bit of stress.
Right, or that they feel like they don't know how to express the pain that they're in until they physicalize it. Like, the pain is so internal that they're like, I need some sort of external feeling.
But doesn't it release stress? Doesn't it release, feel like you get a little high off of it?
Yeah, I think it's probably something like that where you're getting relief by letting it go, just to say, this is now a physical thing, not just an emotional or a mental thing.
I'll tell you this, when a woman says that, immediately you just think, hot,
She's crazy.
Fucking hot.
Right.
She's crazy putty. I like her.
Yeah, she's really there.
So charming.
Eric, New Mexico.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, a couple years ago, my father was having really bad back problems and whatnot, and they were giving him so many Percocets and painkillers. Literally, in the morning, he would get up, and now my father, 6 foot, about 290. He would get up in the morning, he would take 3 Percocets. 6 hours later, he would take 3 more, and 6 hours later, he would take 3 more. And I happened to be there one day and saw what he was taking, and I was like, do you realize you're taking enough Percocets to stop a full fucking elephant? And he's like, well, but I've got, I'm in so much pain. When the doctor said, you can't continue doing this, you're going to kill yourself. And they're like, we need to get you in, get this back surgery done so you can stop taking me. And he spent like 6.5 weeks in the hospital and rehab, and they part of it, or physical therapy rehab, and they were weaning him off of the painkiller. When they sent him home, the doctor at the rehab facility sent him home with 6 8.5 by 11 punch-out sheets of Percocet for pain management. And I said, didn't you guys just try and wean him off of this? And they're like, well, yeah, but he still needs a little bit of it. And I was like, you realize the street value of this shit? I could go out and what I could get for this. And it's like on the drive home, the Percocet disappeared because there was no way in hell I was going to let him have it. And he was so pissed at me, he actually called the doctor and said, my son stole my Percocet, and they were going to call the cops on me. And I told the doctor, I said, you fucking do. I said, then I'm going to call the DEA, and I'm going to call the state on you. I said, this is fucking ridiculous. I said, you're giving this man, I said, when you look at the amount that he was taking, I said, I could bring down a small, I said, a good-sized animal with it. It was ridiculous, how much they're giving of this stuff.
Yeah, it comes up all the time, and then I know other people living in certain states that that if they're on this drug, it's so fucking heavily regulated that they have to show up with like 3 pills before they get their next thing because no one trusts that they're not eating more of it as it's going along. I don't know how you're supposed to fix this fucking problem. That's something Donald Trump was going to do during his administration.
He's going to take
I know this. If Trump is elected, I'm going to start fucking eating Percocets like they're fucking Tic Tacs. I'm going to like, oh, this is a pretty girl coming in. I better pop 2 or 3 Percocets into my mouth. Freshen up a little bit. I'll be using fucking suppositories. Just a fucking giant dildo that shoots fucking morphine into your asshole. I'm fucking closer to believing Trump's going to win it all now, too.
It's starting to feel...
I'm going to tell you this yet. We will never have a wall. Never. It's not going to fucking happen.
I don't think it's possible. I don't think that we'll be able to get
then will
that
all those
to here.
people agree that they were nuts to cheer for the wall? Or will they move on and like it doesn't even matter?
Yeah, it'll be like they were under some sort of spell. They're just going to pretend.
That it
That it never
went down.
happened.
Yeah.
That they were never like, yeah.
Remember when Chris was wearing the Make America Great again?
What happened with that?
Lost it. I lost the
You
hat.
lose accessories a lot.
He sells them.
For drags?
He sells them for some loose fucking papers and some tobacco. He's the only one who buys fucking loose joints of tobacco in the park.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with you? Let me count the waste.
No, don't. I think they'll go as far as start surveying the land all right, so Trump wins. He surveys the border and then figures out ways it costs way too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are never going to have a giant wall. We're never going to have it because it's against everything that America believes in. I was fucking just making this point yesterday. We are not going to do it. America is not going to allow themselves to have a giant wall the way that like was in Berlin.
And it's not even that I think that people will rise up and say, no government, we don't want a wall. Like, it'll be Trump's idea to be like, we're not going to do the wall. Like, if he's president, he's going to be the first to be like, the wall's not going to happen.
I thought it was crazy.
It's not gonna
I
be a wall.
just said the wall to get your attention.
Worked.
It's a metaphorical wall.
Yeah, it's not going to go down. It is not going to go down. We can't have a wall like that. Chris, you were excited about this, that a woman was arrested for molesting another woman on a flight.
It's pretty sexy. I mean, I don't want people to get molested, but the pictures of the woman show her as a, she seems like she's an alcoholic. She has a lot of priors involving alcohol. And on a flight from LA to Portland, she was arrested for grabbing the breasts and genitals of another woman.
And this is pretty sexy to you?
I kind of see it as equality. You know what I mean? That we've come a long way, baby.
I mean, she's an attractive young lady.
And this is
her problem is she should have started grabbing some dick.
Yeah.
Who's going to get arrested for that?
So then when the guy fucking goes to the police, the cops are like, why are you telling us this? To brag?
It was just, it was pretty great.
You were sleeping and your penis was grabbed. Why aren't you happier?
Sir, we're going to arrest you for filing a false report.
This is a double standard. This is what it is.
It truly is.
Makes me sick.
But I agree with you. She's an attractive person.
Yeah, she's attractive.
She's an attractive molester.
She's definitely one of the more attractive molesters I've ever seen.
Mine was that Penn State coach. I thought he was just...
Oh, God.
Sandusky?
Yeah. You didn't think he's a good-looking guy?
No.
All right.
A little old for me.
Each his own. Each his own. You're being an ageist.
I'm just saying, I like him younger than Sandusky.
By the way, he started in 76.
Hold on, pull that.
So-
He just said he likes them younger than Sandusky.
Got it. And then adds a does. So it sounds like he likes the children better than Sandusky does.
No, I don't. I am going to look up a young picture of Sandusky, though.
Oh, God.
You know what? You're probably being monitored just for doing that.
Young Sandusky is not
Now,
something
look
you
at
want
him.
on your own.
That's a good-looking guy.
No. He looks like Shrek.
He's a good-looking dude. Look at those teeth. And that cool haircut.
Yeah, that fucking haircut's fucking banging.
When's that going to come back? That flat top look.
Yeah,
of the
this
50s.
is higher you go, higher stupid. What you want to go get pinned for? Hey, you meathead, I'm Sandusky. I'm taking these kids for a shower. All right, everybody shower up. Why are we showering?
To get clean.
Oh.
Jim, Texas.
Hey, Ronnie, I'm curious, what constitutes a wall? Because they've already got a fence that's monstrous, that's growing from water to water, that's impenetrable. You can't break it down like the Berlin Wall. So what exactly constitutes? It's not really a fence. It's huge. It's impenetrable.
And yet they dig under it. So I think the thing is, the wall is going to go down 12 feet under the ground.
Exactly, to stop all the drug smuggling and human smuggling.
Now, do we smuggle a lot of drugs over that thing, or
seems like a couple of times a year you'll find they find a giant tunnel that goes underneath it where they're
Channel.
It's a tunnel, really, and they put a lot of coke through there.
What's the news about the Ralphie May show being back on?
He's back on. It's going to be on in Fargo, so he's able to actually get the shows back.
He's back.
Oh, just his stand-up?
His stand-up show. He's yeah.
So he's made amends with them. Everything is.
He's coming back December 10th. So it was originally supposed to happen in April.
Did you say December?
December, yeah.
But that's a long fucking time away. We'll see whether it's on or not. This is part of the Wampum Tour? Is that what he's calling it?
This is now will be part of the White Trash Christmas Tour.
That's the name of it?
Yeah.
I'm offended.
Offensive.
As a white person.
And actually, a black person should be offended as well. Because that's like saying you have to specify. No, this trash is white.
If I said trash store, you wouldn't think it was white.
That's why white trash is the most offensive word there is.
And everyone who bought tickets for the April 12th show, their tickets will be honored for the White Trash Christmas Tour.
Oh, good.
That's
good.
classy.
Good.
Really good.
Well, it saves me that $9. Hey,
I'm glad that they, they're gonna give it a go. Him and Fargo.
Bob Ross fan wrote in because you asked about the cutting back in the old days. He said in the Victorian era, it was called bloodletting. A doctor would come over and do it when women were depressed.
Okay,
so
this is like
dealing with depression.
This was like the hysteria kind of phase where they were like, women, they're crazy, and there was nothing wrong with them at all. They were just stressed out.
And a lot of times back then too, they would just give them some heavy dildo action. Just a guy coming in with a double-headed dildo.
Well, you're gonna feel
this
better.
will make you feel better. Is that what you're looking for? Slower. True TV is doing an Apu documentary.
Yeah, that's coming from True TV.
Remind me to miss that. I definitely don't want to be one of the people who's...
I'll warn you. I'll be like, oh, no. Make sure you turn your TV off.
I'm going to actually put a sack over my TV that night.
I want to see how we got to the Quickie Mart.
Did you see the Woody Allen trailer yet?
Yes, I did.
I didn't see it yet. I heard that it was out this morning,
Is
right?
it good?
I'm not sure if I like Jesse Eisenberg and as
How dare
he's
you,
done
sir?
a lot of Woody Allen.
How dare you, sir?
I like Jesse Eisenberg.
Have you seen him in any Woody Allen?
No,
stuff?
I have not. I have not seen any.
So then you're not a Jesse Eisenberg or Woody Allen fan.
Jesse, I think, makes so much sense for Woody. That match makes perfect sense.
Yeah, he kind of plays the part of young Woody Allen.
So you're giving the trailer a trash as opposed to a smash, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the trailer.
And who's she? The girl is who? It's
Stewart from the
Rod Stewart.
No, not Rod Stewart.
From
Kristen
the Faces?
Stewart.
Kristen Stewart from the Twilight movies.
Is this in our times or is this another 1930s romp?
1930s romp.
See, he does a lot of that.
He's stuck in the 30s.
Yeah, stuck in the 30s with you. I like to see him make a Revolutionary War film.
Do it, Woody.
I'm not sure about Kristen Stewart in a. She's a very modern girl. Like it would be difficult to imagine her.
He said
another
that she
time.
would have been a beautiful starlet if she was back then. He said she would have been put on a pedestal as just a gorgeous, gorgeous vampire girl who everyone loves.
She's so vampy.
Now, is he also playing the same? Jesse Eisenberg, is he also playing the same role that he played in the Superman versus Batman?
No, he's not Lex
It's not a
Luthor.
crossover at all.
No, it's not. No crossover.
Really?
Too bad. Too bad.
DC has nothing to do with this.
But
film.
if you stay at if you watch after the end of the credits, you'll see where the tie-in with
Sam
it.
Jackson comes out. at the end of the
Now,
credits.
Kristen Stewart said she struggled with doing a Woody Allen film because what he was accused of, marrying his girlfriend's daughter once she grew up. And she said she wrestled with it. She talked it over with Jesse Eisenberg, and they decide people are accused of a lot of stuff that isn't true. And then Jesse Eisenberg said, I never had a conversation like that in my life. I don't know what she's talking about.
Really? Oh, my God.
Yeah. And I go through this with Chris Stanley.
Oh, my God. That's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's very... I mean, that's a weird thing to be accused of because you're like, I know you didn't say anything like terrible about me, but that thing just never happened. And now I feel crazy. What
happened?
Because that's a very elaborate thing to say, like, he and I sat down, we discussed, is this the movie to do? It's just like, no, I never
like I said, Jesse
that.
Eisenberg has done these movies before.
Right.
He's a New Yorker. He's comfortable with Woody Allen.
Right. So why would he suddenly have to have a conversation with Kristen Stewart on whether or not they should move forward with this film?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why.
She might be actually...
Well, a lot of times that people have conversations with you and they feel like they've talked something out, but you're not aware that that's what they were talking about. I have a sister-in-law like that where it's probably two different conversations that take place.
Really? And she's taking it as you're advising her to do something and you just thought you were having just like
I don't know.
a conversation.
I don't know. If you came back and said, what did you to discuss? I would normally say nothing. You know what I mean? BL is also the same way, where I'll get a text back saying, I totally agree with what you were saying to me. I've decided to change my life based on it. And I'll be like, I don't know where you're getting this from. It's not from me. And I certainly don't think that you should be renting a room in Queens for the summer.
God.
Yeah. You guys are going to be neighbors.
Oh, no.
I want you to take her to some of your favorite sandwich haunts.
Okay.
Please.
That'll be
I call them haunts.
Take it to South Crazy Jollies.
We're going to my favorite haunt right now.
All right. I'm looking at MSNBC. Paul Ryan is getting pushed to accept Donald Trump as the nominee. Trump also said, I don't regret calling John McCain a loser.
He doesn't have regrets.
Zero.
I think he's
zero.
I think he says what he says. Even if he, like, the closest thing I think I've heard him to saying he has a regret about something is saying, like, hey, maybe that wasn't, like, the wisest choice to express it that way. But I don't think he's like, I feel terrible about what I said.
He is right that John McCain is a loser for being captured in a time of war.
He likes those who don't get captured.
Yeah.
No POW.
People that can hide. Yeah. Loser.
It's like the way he presented it, like he was just like a dork who got,
right.
Like, what a nerd. He got captured.
Like he flew his plane into a fucking jail on purpose because he was too drunk to know where he was going.
He couldn't afford.
So fucking stupid.
It's horrible.
I read John McCain's book, and I don't know how he lived through it. I do not understand how you could live through that. And he does this thing about a washcloth and how important a washcloth was for years to him. And he took someone else's washcloth, and he did like Chris did yesterday with the banana, and how it's a piece of shame for the rest of his life. And I'm like, John, I wish you would just talk to me for a while.
Yeah,
I could fucking tell you, no one would made it through this without fucking doing some wacky shit. It's just what you would do.
You need that washcloth.
But now, Trump's going the other direction. All right, let's do will Paul Ryan crack? Will he come out tomorrow and say, I back Donald Trump? Does he crack or hold his own? I'm going to go to Joe first.
I don't think he's going to crack.
Because of that Midwestern thing that you have.
Yeah.
He's a Wisconsin guy, you're a Minnesota guy.
Yeah.
And you guys do not go back on your word.
We do not. I mean, Wisconsin people more so than Minnesotans, but yeah.
Okay.
I think he will kowtow to Trump.
This dude cracks, no doubt.
Vito, you get to have a quick vote here.
It's cracking.
I'm going to go release the Kraken. Let's take a break here. We're back. Vic Henley is stopping in today.
Stopping in, a little later, yeah.
Vic Henley. It's been a long time since I saw him. We'll be right back. Bennington Show.
Welcome back to Bennington. I want to remind you guys, don't forget, this Friday, 2 p.m., the Dana Carvey Town Hall I'm so excited to share this with you guys. It was so much fun. Mostly the impressions. It's the best part.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to tell Dana the bad news.
Hey, he did impressions the entire time.
He does nothing but.
He does maybe. I would love to sit there and count through. Someone do it for me.
What's your favorite? Mine's Lorne Michaels. I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah, Lorne Michaels is great.
It's a little bit of a jacket that you could put on.
Popcorn.
You need butter on that? Do you need? Well, some people like a soda pop to go along with it, but that's your choice.
Yes. That's a very familiar voice.
It's Dr. Evil.
Yeah. That's where you're all going to know it from. But I think does anyone even sound like that dude? Like, what is his accent even?
Well, he's from Toronto. So
is that what it is?
Jewish, Canadian, but he's just particularly, his own guy. He's the most powerful, I think, TV producer today. He's got SNL, he's got Seth Meyers, and he's got the Jimmy Fallon. That's gigantic.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be just rolling in dough.
Oh, yeah.
He's just rolling in money.
Yeah, but and has been since 76.
But you know what you were saying about how when Eddie Murphy showed up?
Yeah, I did.
You know how you were saying that and that he just came and took over the show? Do you think that was because the show was early enough in its seasons that someone could have done that? Because do you feel like, I don't care how big anybody would be, could they show up and just take over SNL, particularly like a young dude?
Well, somebody will come. I mean, look, you can never say when the Black Swan is not going to appear that changes everything.
Right.
Chris and I have watched basketball our entire life. We thought we knew the game of basketball. And then Seth Curry plays in a way that we've never seen anybody play before. So could a young Jim Carrey get there who has 5 or 6 things that just kill the audience? Yeah, it could happen again.
But everybody has that kind of cast that they were connected to. But I think that everyone eventually goes back to SNL. Like, you have phases where you will watch it for a little bit, but I don't think what I think is really strange is the people who say I never watch it. Like, I never.
Well,
a lot
of people like to sleep early. What was that, Chris?
Oh, it was fixing television.
I thought you were raising your hand to talk.
Yeah, it was like I didn't see what that was.
I thought you were saying I never watched SNL, and I was like, I know that's a lie.
But yeah, I also have to remember when I said Eddie Murphy took over, it was a particularly bad cast, and Lorne wasn't running things then.
Right.
So it was really chaos. It was also a very unique situation.
But that show has stayed at the top, even.
You think that? If you listen to the thing that Dana's talking about, they were weeks away from being canceled.
Really?
They said this will probably only run till Christmas, and that was in like 86, 87.
It just feels like at this point, that could never happen. It feels that way.
It's just not true. It's just not true. And even in the time that everyone was mad when Norm Macdonald was fired, the network told him, look, if this guy doesn't go, we're not backing the show anymore.
Right.
And this is the 90s.
Wow.
So they didn't like Sandler. They didn't like that. And they didn't like Spade. They didn't like that entire cast. And a lot of people look back like that was their, best time on it. But no.
But even a show could be the biggest show in the country. It could be the #1 show. But you kind of always know that everything comes to an end. Something about that show feels like it wasn't. But every show, no matter how massive it is, you're not like, this is going to be a show for 30 years.
That's because you're comparing it with a sitcom or something, but 60 Minutes has been around longer.
Right.
The Today Show has been around longer. The Evening News is still a show, whether you realize it or not. So you've got to, I think you compare SNL with the Today Show more than a regular series.
Right.
You don't compare that to Cheers or something.
Right. Now, what do you think is the biggest show that you never got into? It was like the most popular show of the time, but you just never even tried.
Well, now, any of those CSI shows, I've never watched one of them. I never watched a Law and Order. Any of the times that I've tried.
That's a pretty big one, because that one, I feel.
Like 8 of them?
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
But even right now, what is the biggest show is the Mark, what do you call it, show? What's his last name? Hammond or Hall or something like that?
Mark Hammond.
Mark Hamill? Who's that?
Who's Mark Hamill?
Why are we agreeing on the Mark Hamill? It's not a CSI, but it's something like JAG or something like that. Mark Harmon is his name.
Harmon.
Mark Harmon. That's the number one show on TV. I don't watch it. I don't know a single person who's watched it. And that's the number one draw.
Watching it? I don't
Elderly,
know.
I'm sure.
I don't know anyone. Because my biggest one, and it is a big gap with any women my age, women even like a little older than me, they all went to the Sex in the City, and every one of them talk about it, and I never watched it. Not one episode.
I feel the same way about Girls, though. Where apparently a lot of people watch Girls, and I've never, I caught a couple pieces. I'm like, I could never watch this.
And the weird thing is, Girls, they say, is like this product of young women who grew up on Sex in the City and love it, and this is like their version of it.
I thought that it went just the opposite. Like they tried to make Sex in the City look a little more disgusting.
Well, it's like they've taken the idea and they've, it's like a new generation of Sex in the City, but it's similar premise. But this is like, if I tell a group of women that I have never seen Sex in the City and never got into it, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? They act like I'm crazy.
Let's move it around. We'll look at Joe. Let's see if we can figure out. Joe, what's the big show that you never watch?
The big show that I never watch is probably the number 2 biggest show right now, The Walking Dead. And I have friends who are...
Never watch it.
Crazy Walking Dead fans.
Not only that, but I kind of feel like I judge people who watch Walking Dead in my head. I see them as slasher film guys.
I watched the first season, and I don't know how it's still on the
Oh, you hate it?
I do not like The Walking Dead at all. I think it's a shitty show. I think it's terrible. I don't know how anyone watches it.
I've never seen it because I just thought it was out of my wheelhouse. It's just not the genre that I would be into. And actually, my cousins are they're really into like a lot of fantasy books and movies. Mm-hmm. And so when I got into Game of Thrones, I was like, you know what? This is going to be great. Come Thanksgiving, I'm going to have a Game of Thrones conversation. And I'm sure they're going to be so thrilled to hear about it. And immediately I got there and I was like, hey, you guys watch Game of Thrones? And they're like, no, we would never watch the show. We all watch Walking Dead. And I was like, what? I really thought that was going to be the big show. But Walking Dead took their precedent.
One ended the other night that they were writing up everywhere, and I'm like, I never watched a single episode. Good Wife. Oh, yeah. Ran like 7 seasons. Everybody seemed to like Good Wife. But this is how disconnected we are, particularly from network TV. And I'm the only person this year who watched Grindr, and I thought it was fucking hysterical, and I don't think it's coming back next year.
Really? They're not going to bring it back?
Look around this room. No. All you guys should be watching Grindr.
No Grindr.
It's Rob Lowe at his funniest. Rob Lowe me. But not enough people on it. More people watching Grandfathered for some reason.
I've never seen an episode of Good Wife, and they shot it outside of my apartment once, and my apartment was like heavily featured. And I sat there and actually watched them shoot. And then didn't even think like, I'm going to check out that episode.
They've shot a bunch of episodes in the lobby of our building and of this building and outside of it too. Yeah.
Good Wife?
Yeah, Good Wife. Yeah. Good Wife's been shot out here.
We're probably all over this thing.
Probably walking in and out. All right, let's go to Vito. Let's see if we can guess the show that Vito never saw. I'm going to just throw it out there. I don't think Vito's ever seen Monday Night Raw. I don't think he's seen an episode.
I don't think he's ever seen The Sopranos. It doesn't seem like something he'd be into.
All right. Why don't you tell us, Vito?
Mine is Game of Thrones. And when I have to sit and listen to people like Joe and Chris talk about conspiracy theories about Game of Thrones, it makes me sick.
I think it's kind of...
So you're saying no work takes place around here?
No, if I have to hear like a 10-minute mini conversation, that's just like, hey, man.
Joe, Chris, why don't you guys focus on the fucking show instead of got at all times?
Got. Is that a thing? Gonna get that website.
Put it down. It's pretty good.
Got.
I've never spent 10 minutes straight talking about Game of Thrones to Joe. He wouldn't even know what I know.
It seems like you do, though.
It's bullshit.
I'm hearing it from one of my spies.
Vito's full of it.
I try to watch one of the Chicago shows because we had Manny Patinkin Was it Manny Patinkin who came in?
Oliver Platt from the Chicago shows.
Yeah, you can see why I would say that. But we've had Manny Patinkin before. But there's like 8 different Chicago shows. Chicago Fire, Chicago Hope, whatever. And the shows intersect with each other.
Yeah.
And they're all written by Dick Wolf, I believe, who
It's a Dick Wolf
used
show.
to do the Law and Orders. So there's this entire universe of Chicago shows.
Wow.
And I don't know what the fuck's going on.
They're
there.
all interconnected. Now, is that connected to the Law and Order? Is Chicago and...
No, I think they're done with Law and Order.
Okay.
Is Law and Order over?
I think SVU is still around, the Special Victims Unit.
That's the only one I watch, and I only watched it in college because I lived with a bunch of girls who were really into having their victims be extra special. And it's dark.
It's mostly sex crimes.
So depressing.
It's mostly
Usually sex crimes or crimes on children.
That's SUV?
SVU.
SVU.
Oh, I thought they were driving around or something. All right. I'm going to go to one of the Chicago people, our own Janice in Chicago. Janice, you're on Chicago Post Office.
I'm laughing because you said the elderly like the NCIS shows. I love the NCIS.
Now, what do they do? What happens on there?
There are a lot of shooters. Boy,
Yeah.
they shoot instantly. I like the NCIS LA.
Yeah, I don't know any of them. I only know Sunday night cable, and then nothing really during the week.
Well, isn't NCIS like CIS? It's just cop procedurals.
Well, they're Navy crime intelligence.
Oh.
All right, so that's the Mark Harmon one.
Yeah.
All right, that's when Chris enjoyed. I called it Mark Hammond, and that's the #1 show on TV. And then they have one in New Orleans that they just added.
Is that with Ice-T?
That one I love too. That
Yeah.
one, yeah, that's one with Scott Bakula. It's very good.
Scott Bakula. Bakula. Now, does he have to jump from life to life when he's there?
No.
Oh, man, I love that show.
Yeah.
I did like that also.
What was he? He was
Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leaper.
Yeah. Really liked that show as a kid.
My favorite part of the show is where he would, like, somebody would say something to him like, "Hey, you're a fat black woman," and he would be like, "What?" And then he would look in the mirror
and
and see, "I am a fat black
He's
woman."
always shocked, by
Yeah.
the way. He's always shocked. You know you quantum leap.
All right, but you know what? I steal for that show, and I think I could do a psychological thing. I call it the quantum leap theory, right? Where let's suppose the problems that you have today, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you just quantum leaped into them, what would you do differently than what you do now? Like Scott Bakula, the great thing about it was he didn't have any doubts from that person's life, right? So he would go, "Oh, I'll just go and try this." It wouldn't think I've tried stuff before and I failed. So if you do a quick quantum leap in your own life, like suppose I just showed up here now.
Right.
And had to fix these problems. You would fix it differently than you would. You'd be like, "I'm going to go right down that office and talk to them." You know what I mean? I'm going to come up with a whole new thing of doing stuff because you wouldn't be dragged down by your own fucking past.
Right. You're able to look outside yourself and say, okay, this is just for the same reason people are very good at giving advice to other people.
Right.
But then they feel like very overwhelmed when something
Well,
comes up.
because if it's you, you're like, I tried, to quit smoking or give up desserts, and I can't. But if Scott Bakula wouldn't have that information, he would just come in, do's it.
Yeah.
So
Scott Bakula, that shit.
Yeah, Bakula that shit up. All right, Janice, good to talk to you, darling.
Okay, love you. How about the Cubbies? Isn't it, Orion?
It's going to be Cubs and Phils this year. Cubs and Phils.
It's Orion.
Yeah.
love it.
The Cubs are just beating people to death.
It's so cool, and it was funny because my in-laws, they loved Joe Madden to start with, so when he was
me
coming
too.
here, they got really excited, and look.
I'm happy that most of the people in Tampa feel terrible about it. You know what I mean? Like, because they didn't quite get it. All right. Talk to you soon, honey. But yeah, in my opinion, best skipper in baseball. Chris, Wisconsin.
Hey, Ron. I thought The Big Bang Theory was the most popular show on TV right now, and
It's the most popular comedy.
Comedy. I mean, have you tried to watch it?
Yes. I think it's fantastic joke writing. Fantastic joke writing.
I've only seen it when I've been over your house. It's a very, solid, old school kind of
gag.
sitcom.
I'm a big fan of how many jokes can you fit into any 1 minute, because I know how hard people work on their shows, even if they're not slightly believable. I think, other than Modern Family, it's the best example of old school Friends type gag writing.
Yeah. Friends, where it would be 4 levels of punchline, where it's like Joey type punchline,
Right.
Chandler type punchline, Phoebe type punchline. One setup, one more punchline. That's they never got away from the joke for more than 3 seconds.
And then pizza delivery guy gets a punchline for himself.
Yeah. You're probably outside person getting landing a job on that show and just being like, how many punchlines do I get? You're like, I got 3 lines.
Everyone else knows how to deliver these lines. How do I do it? Because there is a style of delivery that everybody falls into.
Yeah, and it's like a world that's set up that, there's a pause for laughter in this world.
One of the characters on Big Bang Theory actually went to space.
What?
And,
really?
Yeah.
That's a show I've never seen an episode of.
And was frightened the whole time that he was we FaceTimed with him. The other guy is has some kind of social disorder where he, but he'll probably win a Nobel Prize. And Bare Naked Ladies do the show. Are you still texting, Mike? Give me your phone. I'm going to sit it in front of me during the show.
Okay. Here's the phone.
Why are you still texting? You got something to report?
Vic Henley's coming down the hall.
Yes, and I told you he would be.
Yes.
He's a pro. Why are you panicking about Vic?
Vito texted me.
But that's not why you were panicking. You settled down because of them. But why were you panicking that Vic wouldn't be here?
I'd like to confirm, everyone.
Vic, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, Ron. I'm only 2 minutes late.
This
for New York City, that's not bad.
Can I tell you something? I was just yelling at my producer, Chris.
Where the fuck's Henley?
Yeah, no, just the opposite. I go, why are you panicking about Vic Henley? He basically, we have a wing named after him here.
Right, and the guy still made me sign in at the front desk. That's why I would have been only 1 minute late. I had to stop and sign in and put a sticker on my name pass for the first time since the station opened.
Oh, yeah, you know why? Because you're here before they're in the morning, right?
So, well, that and, nobody, security here is pretty slack. Let's just.
Yeah. Well, what do we have to secure?
Exactly.
We don't have gold. What's somebody going to come in here and steal a microphone?
No, they're afraid that you're going to do what I did and hug John Kerry in the lobby too long. Uncomfortable silence. It's something like that. That's what they're worried about, is me getting in in the Cardinal picture, the archdiocese, and me photobombing that. That's what they're trying to secure.
I remember when there was one guy where they're saying there's no pictures with the Monsignor. And you're just like,
wasn't going to ask.
Yeah, I don't know why that would come up. No. But Chris, why are you panicking about a regular? You can't. I have got to turn this thing over to Joe, because here's my thing.
I love walking in and being here in 3 minutes and watching somebody get fired or demoted.
I can't stand, while I'm on the air, someone just texting furiously. It drives me nuts.
No more texting.
And you say that, but it's Vic.
I know.
He's done our show a ton of times, and he's basically, with O and J. How many?
I don't know. It's too long for their listeners, probably.
But it's a lot.
It's a once or twice a month. Yeah.
So there's no reason to worry about Vic getting here or knowing how to get down the hall.
I worked here before you did. I worked here before everybody in this room did. I actually did. I voice tracked on Outlaw Country. I had a job here year 1, 2005-06. I worked here. Only job I've had in 30 years.
Back when we were XM, who was your PD
It was Sirius. It was Sirius and Jeremy Tepper, who's right down the hall. He's Outlaw Country, and Little Steven has 5 channels here. Yeah. And I love Tepper. He's wonderful. The only boss I've ever had since graduating college is 4 doors down. I see him in the hallway all the time. He's a lovely man.
I don't even think that he's just the best PD here. I think he's the best PD. In radio.
He knows.
He's great.
Well, when Little Steven, I believe he got the gig because the station, they had heard Little Steven's Underground Garage, and they wanted him to do that show and give him a channel, and they also wanted Little Steven to have a few other channels. And hey, we're going to have 1 million channels. Let's give you 5. But Little Steven knew he needed some help, and he was at a show, I think, at Irving Plaza, and between the acts, weird music was playing. And little Steven was sitting there and he's like, who the fuck is the DJ between the acts here? Because whoever he is, I love this dude. Because he's playing Waylon Jennings, singing Marshall Tucker. And then he's going over here to Ray Charles and he's coming back with some Dylan or something, you know. And so I guess Tepper could be corrected on this as usual. But I think so. Little Steven goes over and goes, who's playing this music? And they go, Jeremy Tepper. And so little Steven walks over and goes, hey, and he's like, hey, nice to meet you. I need you to work for me down at Sirius. We're going to do some channels together. And I think that's how Outlaw Country started.
It's amazing.
The idea.
Wow.
Maybe. Yeah.
No, Vic,
if not, it's a damn good story.
Look, you could, first of all, you could lose money trying to stump Vic Henley. He has got story after story. Most of it, no matter where it starts, it ends up in some small town in Alabama.
Eclectic Alabama.
But you are ready to go with it. But by the way, Outlaw Country is probably the only true new music that's introduced to me through radio. Other than that, it's going to be a friend saying, please listen to this rock thing. Or,
if you listen to the Underground Garage, he breaks a lot of stuff. He still breaks a lot. And all those guys do. Everybody's got on that channel. I'm never disappointed to be stuck in a car and have this, at my leisure, What
do you, where are you most likely to listen to, Gail, if not on the talk shows?
I listen to Outlaw Country. I listen to deep tracks.
I love deep tracks too.
Because it's deep. They go deep.
I go deep. Here's the thing. Most of the time I feel like I'm right there. Like I know that deep track. But when I don't, when I'm stumped, it's always interesting to me.
And I think that there's something where you have to be in a certain place to listen to new music, like a mental place that you could be. Like I think for me, like cooking and cleaning, like I like to listen to new stuff because I feel like I'm in a receptive place.
I've been on the road forever, and so trapped in the car. If I'm going to do 8 hours in the car, then I love having everything at my disposal. New stuff, old stuff, whatever you want, because you're stuck in the car for 500 miles.
I mean, there's some things like that you'll return to, like your favorite songs or whatever, but I think there's certain moments in your life where you're like, okay, I'm completely open to this. And and that's the best time to listen to new music.
Will you ever listen to Jim Ladd out of Los Angeles on Deep Tracks? And he's been out there forever, and I'm listening to the other night, and I just hear a dog bark, and I'm like, son of a bitch, he's doing this from his house.
He's the last DJ.
Nice.
Yeah, he's the last.
Tom Petty wrote the last DJ song about
What did I tell you about Vic Henley?
He's
always, He's, now,
I just know his nephew. I happen to know his nephew.
And then Tom Petty was at an Auburn game.
Saw my brother Mike Henley sneak in to the sidelines. But Jim Ladd's amazing. He
is the last DJ because he picks the songs as he plays them. He doesn't put. It's not only it's his music, but it's the one song sets the mood for the next song.
Tepper allowed that on Outlaw Country when I was here. And I could bring music from my home that wasn't even in the system and put it in the system and play it. I brought a bead thing from the Chappelle show where they'd done a sketch in a barbershop up in Harlan, and it's John Mayer and Chappelle. And at the end of it, when it's a B-roll thing, you have to have the Chappelle show series. And it's him and John Mayer singing the Dukes of Hazzard theme. Chappelle knows the words to the Dukes of Hazzard, and John Mayer's playing guitar. And they're in a barbershop, and the Roots are there. Amir Questlove, and they're singing, just a good old boy. They know every fucking word of it. And I put it in the thing and played it regularly. And Tepper came in one day. He's like, where'd you find that? I was like, I was watching the Chappelle show on DVD, and this fucking popped up on B-roll. And he's like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, they would let me order things and say anything I wanted to. You just had to hit the break. It was a voice track thing. It was easy. I liked it. It was fun.
How much time does it take you to voice track something?
I could do the show. I could do a week's worth of show in maybe 2.5 hours.
Right.
3 hours.
And be done for the week.
And be done for the week, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really fun and cool. But I would get stuck in the booth listening to the songs I hadn't heard before. So I would see on the list something that Tepper'd thrown in, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to listen to this one if I'm going to say something about it or know about it.
Right.
So I would get stuck in here. The idiot music head in me would get stuck. What I could do if I was in a hurry, I could get a week's worth of done in 2.5, 3 hours. And most of the time I was sitting in here 9, 10 hours because I was just listening. I was actually listening to the shit that I was playing while I was playing.
I think I would have to.
I do that all the time too, man. When I'm like, that's the problem with like YouTube for me. It's just find one song.
Yeah.
Just takes me on that weird
No,
Stayed
right.
till like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, oh my God, is this the Outlaws in Vegas in 74? Is that Chris Christopherson and Waylon and Johnny Cash? What the fuck? And then the next thing you know, the same thing, 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock.
See, when you said the Outlaws, I thought you were talking about Florida's Guitar Army.
Oh, you mean, no. The first and only band, now this goes back to my small town in Alabama. I've told you this story.
Yeah.
They blew out the system at, the Outlaws blew out the sound system in our Civic Center in Oxford, Alabama.
Is that right?
They were going to be the first big show. We had built this Civic Center that you could probably seat 3,000 people in. And it was going to be a big, have events there, have sports things there, have concerts there. And the first big concert they had were the Outlaws, and they were jacked about it. And they told them they told them they were fully equipped and had everything. So the Outlaws brought minimal equipment, and 3 minutes in, bang, everything blows out. And the show was delayed an hour because they had to go over to Birmingham and a tractor truckload a show's worth of equipment back there. So the show went on about 10:30, even though it was supposed to start about 8 because the Outlaws blew out the goddamn sound. Oxford got too cocky that day.
When I first started radio,
Oxford, which has just done the gay bathroom law thing.
Oh yeah, that's
where
all.
I'm from.
See how
that's
that
my
all
home.
ties in together.
Very proud. Very proud.
When I first started radio, like Henry Paul from the Outlaws was the first celebrity who would call my PD and go, "Hey, that fucking kid, it's pretty funny."
Oh, man.
The kid with the weird voice. He doesn't even sound like he should be on radio. So that literally, Henry Paul has no way of knowing this, but that literally was in those opening weeks or months was like the PD going this is all starting to come together.
Henry Paul
Henry Paul fucking gives a shit.
You're like, whoa, he said, of course.
I think he's up in. Is he one of the guys that moved to Nashville very early on when, all of a sudden guys from country rock would say, you know what, maybe fuck this southern rock. It's just straight country now,
Yeah, well, sure.
Yeah.
The country went pop, and they
kind of came together on that. All right, Chris, where do you listen if you're listening to a music station?
I like classic vinyl and SXMU.
Really?
Those are the two I usually go to. Yeah.
That's two different directions.
Yeah, basically, one is just for older music, one for new music.
That's fine. That's a nice blend.
But do we know for a fact it's vinyl?
No, it's not.
Sure.
Because
I wish it was.
I'm looking around here. I don't see anybody playing vinyl anywhere.
I'd be stealing.
That would be great if they do, though. That would be amazing.
Does
You hear
he have a
that
little crackle?
pops.
You still have vinyl?
I used to have album Mondays until my turntable blew up about 5 years ago. But people knew that you couldn't. I would not answer if I was at home, I would not answer the phone, and the phone was on off all day long, and I played albums all day long.
All day long.
And then I blew out my turntable about 5
And then would you invite people over?
Oh, yeah, people could come over. It's just, you couldn't call me. I wasn't going to do business. You were welcome. You can pop in.
See, I don't know if any young people understand the thing of come to my house and we're listening to music.
My girlfriend's brother I was down with him a couple of years ago. He lived down in Maryland on the Eastern Shore, and we were over at his house having a barbecue, and I'll be goddamn, and all of a sudden he turned on I'm like, oh shit, you've got albums?
Yeah.
And all night long he went back and forth to the turntable playing music. It was a great party.
Gail plays albums at her house.
I collect vinyl, and then I have a couple friends who do as well. And to me, that's my favorite thing. When you go over someone's place for the first time, it's just the same thing of books where you're like, okay, let me see what's going on here.
Right.
It's not a nosy thing. It's just it's a good thing to do. It's what are you going to sit down and
I was at your house the other day for Mother's Day, and then you popped on that thing. We listened to both sides of some musical weird
oh, yeah, that
duo
was
that
insane.
we'd never heard of before.
Someone was on my block just selling cheap, dollar records, and I bought this one record just based on the cover because it was so bizarre.
I had a friend that used to do that. Sorry,
but
I had a buddy of mine that 2 or 3 times a year he would say that exact same thing.
I
bought this. Look at this. Tell me how you could not have this.
Well, this was my exact experience because I was like, this is such a weird looking record. I can't imagine. And then I flipped it on the back, and it said "Special thanks to Lou Reed," and I was like, I've got to
there
know
you
it.
go.
But it's called Get Wet.
That's the group. Get Wet?
The group is Get Wet, and this record is this very dolled up man and woman, and they're laying in a big sea of pastel plastic balls.
Okay,
and it's just a very weird look, but it's actually a pretty fun It's a pretty fun record.
Well, it sounds like Meatloaf if he was in the movie Grease to me.
Yeah,
All
like,
right,
there's
I
something
like-
kind of theatrical.
I love good combos.
There's something kind of theatrical. There's something kind of like that weird 80s interpretation of doo-wop thing that was going on.
That's
You,
what
like,
he said. That's it.
Yeah.
Meatloaf meets Grease.
It's very strange.
I'll have to give you something. I'll have to bring you some because
Please do.
I do. I have my favorite. I've got a. Oh, that's how I imagined that when she said it. That's exactly what I pictured in my head when you said that.
I'm glad I described it well.
I pictured like an emotion in a ball pit of pastels. That's sort of what that is.
That's a great line.
Perfect. No. I'll have to bring you. I have Buckingham Nicks. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
That's out of print. That's hard to find.
Yeah, I would love
And
that.
it's
That's
torn.
awesome.
It's the two of them half naked hugging each other on the front before they were in Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, that's so cool.
Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. Yeah, that's what hard. That's probably
And that
most
one
obscure.
probably sold half a dozen records. You know what I mean? Like they didn't sell anything. And then they went into Fleetwood Mac and, started making the biggest records of all time. But if you go back and listen to that, it sounds very much like...
two or three of their track. Well, it's Lindsey. It's Lindsey
Yeah.
and Stevie. So
Yeah.
any of the
Yeah.
Lindsey Stevie stuff you enjoy in Fleetwood Mac, it's all over. It's the Buckingham. It's wonderful. And they're hippie, half naked, John and Yoko hugging each other on the cover.
I love
in
it.
the black and white with maybe that's a nipple, maybe it's not.
But that's one of those things where you're like, okay, some record companies really had to push things correctly. You know what I mean? Because this should have. All right, go ahead and turn around.
Yeah, there it is.
That should have been that should have been a California hit. Laurel Canyon
Absolutely.
album.
Yeah,
It
Ron,
was
yeah,
not.
totally. Yeah.
And we were talking the other day about Big Star in the 70s. There is a band that should have been
Alex Chilton.
Yeah, could have been gigantic. Nobody knew about them.
Sure.
Well,
all the Dixie Dregs and Sea Level.
Yes, Sea Level.
Chuck Level. I
Yeah.
think. The Dixie Dregs and oh man.
Sea Level I had as a 8-track. So the Tale of Job was on there and stuff like that. And the what is the train song there, the Arm Blossom special and stuff like that. But that was just this gigantic band, bunch of players, blah blah blah. Who knows why somebody doesn't get big and another, person does.
It was like George Clinton, but white.
Yeah,
white Southern rock. It was like, how many people can we get on stage? Let's get 46. Put a diaper on. Give him a tambourine. You get a hula hoop and a glockenspiel. Just like weird shit.
Now, with George Clinton, did you like diaper guy or guy with an umbrella?
Umbrella guy.
I like diaper guy. I like diaper guy. I used to love Glory Hella Stupid, putting the tail on the funky.
I'm actually really jealous of the umbrella guy. Like, that's a good dude to be in the group.
Yeah.
It's like
you could follow George Clinton on Periscope, and I do, and it'll just be sometimes he's in his backyard just just fucking dancing around. He'll go out and sit in his car and play music, and it's just him. And you're like, this guy is so joyful and connects to music on such a fucking level.
My friends live near Bootsy in Cincinnati. And, and Bootsy cuts his own grass. And so they'll go riding through the neighborhood, and there's Bootsy on a riding lawnmower out in his front yard cutting. And the same thing, he's always bopping. He's always got the massive headphones on. And he's always bopping. And they're like, it's just a common occurrence in the neighborhood to see Bootsy rocking out as he's mowing his own grass.
That's so great, though.
Hey, Bobble. He calls everybody, hey, Bobble. He sees my friend. He won't remember your name, so he goes, hey, Bobble. It's hilarious. My buddy was a DJ there for him, and still is for many, many years. And so he'll know him. And I've been out in public and run into him a couple of times. He goes, watch this. He kind of remembers me. He kind of doesn't. He will go, hey, Bootsy. Hey, Bob. I've stood there and talked to him for 5 or 10 minutes. I'm like, I am Forrest Gump and love it. I am Forrest Gump and love it.
Well, Chris, didn't a lot of people come from, I know it's Queens, but like every black act from like the 50s, like jazz stuff, lives somewhere in Queens. It was one neighborhood. Earl will know the story.
I think it's Jamaica Center.
And who were the people that I'm talking about?
I think
like Louis Armstrong.
Yeah. John Coltrane, I think, too.
And they all lived in this one neighborhood, probably because one of them did.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
Louis Armstrong,
and then you could, it's easy enough. Okay, that's the line to get into Manhattan to make money.
Wow.
But there's this one neighborhood that the amount of great players who were there is just like astounding.
That's insane. It's so weird how that happens, where like a little something will just form, and you're like, how did that many incredible artists come out of one space at one time. It's crazy.
St. Albans.
That's
St.
it?
Albans.
Yeah.
And who's all from there?
Nat King Cole, maybe? I don't know. I would take a stab. I think so. I'm not sure, but it seems right. I know this. I saw this somewhere.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've just
But but that's what's always happened in New York, where there are like so many scenes. But like,
this is, by the way, sorry, this is a perfect face to be looking this up.
Yes.
If I want some researching jazz in New York City, I want this man right here.
All he would have to do was
This
pick up a
fucker's
phone
read
and call
every paragraph.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ella Fitzgerald was the
Ella
most
Fitzgerald, perfect.
Right.
But
That's
you know,
cool.
do you think like sometime in the future people might look back at like the Comedy Cellar the same way? They're going, no, it's true.
Yeah,
this used to happen on the regs. You know,
you kind of don't really know something special is forming until it's kind of done.
Right.
And then you're like, man, this sucks now, but it was great then.
right.
There were so many great
like
people.
Max's Kansas City.
Exactly.
Everybody thought it was a dump, and then they're like, wait. Bowie was there and Lou Reed and, you know, but at the time, nobody was like, oh, we got to go to Max's Kansas City. Everybody, you know, drinks there. But I think people are going to look back at the Cellar one day and talk about it the same way that they would a great jazz scene. You know, and when they talk about the table, that table is going to end up in the Smithsonian or something.
Yeah. Okay.
You know? But no one ever appreciates in real time.
I think I tell you about firing the realtor because he didn't know who Lou Reed was.
Really?
I was apartment shopping a million years ago, and the dude, and I had a flashback. I'm going up in the elevator, and I look at the realtor, and I'm like, oh, dude, a buddy of mine used to live in this building. Lou Reed lives in this building. Because they always talk about how weird it was. The elevator doors would open, you get on, sometimes you'd be on the elevator with Lou Reed. And he was totally cool, and everybody in the building loved him. And the realtor for straight up went, who? And I went, Lou Reed, and I'm going through the resume, and nothing, blank, blank, blank. And I'm by the end of it, I'm singing, take a walk on the, and the colored girl's going, nothing. I'm like, you're fired. I'm not even going to look at this apartment. And the elevator doors open, and he got out, and I'm like, I'm not getting out. And he thought I was, and the doors closed, and I went down to the lobby and went home and fired him and bought where I live about 2 weeks later from a different realtor.
I think that you live with a certain moral code. That must be
am I going to trust this person?
In New York City? I'm apartment shopping in New York City, and a man who is the definition of New York City, an icon of America, pop culture. Fuck the music. Just say pop culture. Goddamn, it's Lou Reed.
You should be able to say Lou Reed-esque, I think, to someone and be like, okay.
But you know what?
Now I know what you mean.
Try it with Opie and Jimmy. Opie, Anthony, Jimmy, none of those guys.
No, Opie knows Lou Reed.
I don't think they did.
Norton probably doesn't. He's a metal guy.
I think all he knows is the one, you know, the hit.
No, he's got to know. Pedro on the Dirty Boulevard. Shit. Come on. Goddamn Lou Reed. I'll even go, who is it? It's, I saw Lou Reed, Cal Tippin. It's Nora Jones and her husband. They're in a band, Little Willies. Mm-hmm. There's a Little Willies track called, and it's the two of them, her and her husband singing. They were so stoned, they think they saw Lou Reed, Cal Tippin. It's a great song. It's Little Willie's, Lou Reed, Cal Tippin.
All right, here's Earl to give us the Queens jazz scene. Earl.
Buddies.
Earl, we're trying to figure out what neighborhood in Queens had all the great jazz stars and who were they?
It was Jamaica, Queens.
And who are we talking about?
Count Basie, I think it was Roy Eldridge. Basically, they all had houses here because they were close to. It was close to an airport.
Oh, okay. So they could be close to the airport and then have it. That actually
makes sense.
That is a decent reason to pick out your house anyway, because it's really awful to have a long. I feel like I am far from 3 different airports that should be closed.
13 minutes to LaGuardia. Yeah. I can tell. I know this as long as that's part of the reason I bought it.
Is that right?
I'm 13 minutes when it goes right.
Now you're how many weeks on the road?
Every year's different. Yeah. So like this year it's been very little. This year it's only going to be like 1 week a month. I've slowed way down. Last year it was about 30.
Really?
So yeah, but every year's different, and so I decided to be a little lazy this year.
You never really know what you're going to choose.
Well, you're planning 6 to 9 months down the road. If things are going well for you, if things are going shitty for you, you're 30 days planning down the road. But if things are going right for you,
you're hoping for a fallout.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's me this weekend. Somebody please cancel.
So Earl.
Yeah.
And you grew up in the same neighborhood?
I
I grew up in Corona. I grew up down the block from Louis Armstrong's house.
Now, Earl told me actually one of my favorite New York stories when he was a little kid, and Muhammad Ali walked down the street in his neighborhood, and he just said little black kids were coming from everywhere, just like rushing in. And you said
shut down Northern Boulevard.
You said it was like the best day of your entire life.
It was one of them, because I mean, people stopped their cars, got out of, they stopped cars.
Yeah.
They pulled the cars over. He shut down Northern Boulevard.
Yeah.
2 lanes, 2 lanes, both directions. It shut down. People stopped their cars to get out and touch the guy.
That's Chris Christie good.
Yeah, that's how that's for anyone young today. That's how we feel about Chris Christie. By the way, when we were talking about buying a album for the cover, anything with Blue Note, I would always think to myself, because the pictures were so gorgeous, that I would want one of those.
Frank Wolf,
the
great Frank Wolf photographs.
Earl also follows a lot of rock and music photographers.
Oh wow. That's it. I love all that stuff.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, a friend of mine was working and they lied to me and told me they were going to give me a collage of. They had a little bit of everybody and they were going to customize a collage for me. And they teased me with it and I never got it.
Who's the best for you? Or just give us Bob Gruen and who else?
Bob
Rock?
Gruen, Mick Rock, Jim Marshall, Annie Leibovitz. Wow. To me, it's Jim Marshall. He's like the dude.
Do you know who was the only person that caught the early '60s London scene was Linda McCartney? If you go back and you see any of those guys young, she was the photographer.
It says Eastman.
She was Linda Eastman.
You can see it says Eastman. You can see her name on different things, I believe.
I mean, Beatles, Hendrix, Cream.
All because no one else knew that this was something that they should be taking pictures of.
There's one guy that did that with the Elvis pictures from '56. I can't think of his name, but same thing. He was just there. And
he was there at the time, and was able to do that fly on the wall thing.
Yeah, that's the best. Is to and anybody who can capture that moment, and not be intrusive while you do it.
Catch those people being natural.
But I actually really loved Annie Leibovitz too. Like when I was a kid, I had that Rolling Stone book in the house, and I would just obsess over going through every one of her photographs, which is studio photography. It's kind of like a different animal, but I think she really still finds a way to capture someone's.
She just shoots for Vanity Fair now.
Yeah.
But at the time, she was the first person to take rock stars off the stage and let's try to,
that's like he said, Earl, who did Ali in the swimming pool? Earl, do you know the photo?
I think that was Neil Leifer. Neil Leifer's another amazing.
Yeah, that's a great photo. That's an amazing photo.
I love, and his photography is big today because we have everybody taking pictures, you know what I mean?
I saw the Mapplethorpe documentary on HBO, and they were giving him a lot of credit because Fran Lebowitz is all through it, and she was talking about he was always giving her photos, and back then photography wasn't a thing that was going to be worth anything. So she said, "I've probably thrown away 200 Mapplethorpes." She would have millions of dollars worth of Mapplethorpe photographs, had she not? Because he was at my house, he was drunk, and gave he said, "Here, take this." I'm like, "What the fuck am I going to do with this?" So she'd throw it away.
Is Fran Lebowitz riding around town on a bike now, or what is she doing?
No, a bike is a toy, okay? Toys are for children, okay? I don't have a bike, okay? I'm not a child. That's why I don't ride, okay?
Oh, no, I shouldn't know that you're able to do that, because now I'm going to make you do this all the time.
I know. What we'll do is give more and more lines.
That's wonderful.
Fran Lebowitz is scary funny for someone who really
Lord.
doesn't do...
no, she's
pure
just
stand-up.
herself. The Scorsese documentary on her.
Unbelievable, right?
Hilarious.
So good.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's just so smart and so cool, and
just a razor, just a sharp. cruel razor.
Yeah, and there's something about her too. Like she's not gonna kind of play to the room.
No.
If somebody's leaning in a different direction, she almost has to go with the
It's
opposite.
like she's a smoker, so she will motherfuck the living shit out of anybody who tries to disagree with her on being a smoker. You're not going to win the argument, even though everyone knows smoking's horrible. And no, she will beat you to death with the negative view and win, and do it in a hilariously funny
Yeah, that's always that thing. That's when you know someone is great, is that you can disagree with them, still laugh your ass off the whole time.
I mean, even she talks about the environment and like caring for the environment, and she's just like, what do you care? Why do you care? And like, that's not even something I agree with. And I'm like, I love it so much. No, she's like, you're going to be dead.
Yeah, it's Carlin. Carlin used to have some. The planet's going to shake us off like a dog does a dirty tick. But it's Carlin. That's Carlin.
I saw Fran the other night. She was on Fallon, and she was saying people come up and ask her for advice. And she goes, their parents must have loved them so much. They think that other people care about them. And that on the street, like, they could ask people what to do. The other thing from that documentary that I'll never stop laughing about, she goes, if you see someone you know in Times Square, you're so embarrassed. She says, this is like running into somebody in a gay bar in the 70s.
You immediately just are like, I don't hang out here.
That, yes.
This is
as a New Yorker, you're right. It's just it's the bane of your existence. If you're
this is not where I spend time.
No, I'm just, I had to be here. I got delayed. Something happened. The train broke.
You know, when that other diner disappeared, I don't even walk across Broadway anymore.
No, there's no
that
point.
Diner
the
used
Cafe
to keep
Edison?
me. Yeah, the Edison is the only thing that make me think of, hey, they're changing something here.
It's awful.
And now it's actually worthless. You know what I mean?
That
like
area?
Yeah, because before you're like, maybe there'd be like a thing or two and you would have to kind of like move through the tourists to get there. Now there's no purpose to be
I was
there.
getting mad just getting this close to it today. I got off the train.
This is as close as you get.
I hate goddamn Midtown in the middle of the day. I already want to just start shoving people in traffic.
Well, this morning I was on my way in and I was getting off the train and there was this horrible kind of traffic jam of people and everyone's getting really mad, and finally I break through it and realized that there was a tourist getting on the train and her husband was taking a photo of her and she was just like freeze framed with the door open, holding up the train.
And you wonder why people get shoved in front of the train. And you wonder why someone shoves somebody under
and people are like, what is she doing?
My favorite tourist thing is the little park that we have right next door, has the water fountain, and people stop and take a picture. And I'm like, out of everything in New York,
I know, it's just
a
like
small fucking fountain
blows their mind
next to a nondescript building in Midtown,
where people just have their lunch.
Love it here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Earl works in Times Square. Earl works for the Hard Rock now. And then you said during lunch hour you dress up as Shrek, Earl?
No.
Good way to make a couple bucks.
Bank it up, dude.
No, I'm not one of those guys that hangs out.
That's okay if you do.
It's fine.
No, it's not.
Do you have a
I
favorite?
hate those guys.
Have you had the pig sandwich at the Hard Rock, Earl? Because it says on the menu you haven't been to the Hard Rock unless you've had the pig sandwich.
Is that right, Earl? Pig sandwich?
I had it. Oh God, I had it in 1989.
Earl
That's the year I live in, Earl.
See, Earl will not allow himself to be seen in public eating barbecue, or you said watermelon, right, Earl?
No, I will not eat it off the rind. Not at all.
He will not
off the rind.
eat watermelon off the rind. Why? What would happen, Earl, if you got caught? Because I love watermelon.
I love it too. I just like chop it up, put it in a bowl, put it in something else. I'm not going to eat it.
Have a man from Vietnam chop it up for you?
No.
Yeah, that's.
I will not add to the stereotype. Not at all.
What about fried chicken? No fried chicken either?
I actually do not like fried chicken anymore.
All right.
You're lying to yourself. Everyone likes fried chicken.
I'm dead serious. I never did. I never really had a feel for it.
We're talking to Fidel Castro now.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's a psychotic liar.
Yeah. Even people that are dying from it are still like, this is delicious.
I can't stop.
This is fantastic.
It's the unifier of the planet.
Yeah.
It really is, I believe.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, what is known as either anywhere in between barbecue and soul food, I would say, is the only true American cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Southern cooking.
Yeah.
Whether it's the white side of that or the black side of that is the only true American cuisine, which makes me think of why weren't the fucking Europeans barbecuing from fucking jump? What was wrong with that?
Pigs, right? They had pigs.
What do you mean? Of course
They didn't have the time, though. They were too busy fighting off cholera, malaria. And
It just,
they didn't have time for low and slow for 19 hours.
It just seems that they could be grilling.
Right, you got to get to the genocide. You got to schedule the genocide properly. You got to make them march to Oklahoma. We got a lot of shit to do.
Why were they boiling their food?
You know, because that's all they had time for. Just come back, throw it in the pot of water, and then go back to whatever you're doing. Awful. Keep spreading the blankets.
But Earl, you would never allow yourself to be seen slapping some sauce on something?
That's an open-ended question, Ron.
Slapping sauce. I've just never had it.
I would just like to get a picture of you in front of some ribs, and you're just putting sauce on
Brushing.
it.
Why not?
Yeah, you're brushing it.
Brush.
You're eating a big watermelon right off the rind.
That's right. That would look beautiful. Do it, Earl.
Yeah, I do love. Was at Whole Foods? They do sell like watermelon juice now. Apparently,
Watermelon water probably is what they're calling it.
Yeah.
It is amazing. Amazing watermelon.
Do you think all of us don't know how good watermelon is?
Shops at Whole Foods. This makes no fucking sense.
It's used to get things moving in the body.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it's for.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It'll work.
If you're having trouble,
That's
going.
Earl. Isn't that your big trouble, Earl? You say it's like you said it's like passing a kidney stone for you. I went out with Earl before, and all he ate was sides because his stomach was so bad.
Really?
He just would. Yeah, he would have mashed potatoes and a baked potato.
That was the cure.
Yeah, that was it. You said you could only eat white foods, Earl.
No, I could eat. There was a period, because I had two ulcers at one point
from working with O&A. Back at NEW, that they drove him so crazy that he ate through his own stomach lining.
No.
Yeah,
no, that was a good. I always had, even when I was a kid, I had stomach problems. With that, it just kind of manifested itself. I just never took care of it. And my stomach literally exploded.
Yeah, but you said when you were a kid you were nervous because I guess your dad used to beat your mom.
No.
Oh, I didn't know.
That's what I heard, Ron.
I didn't know. I didn't know.
No. They've been married 58 years. A great marriage. They're fine.
That's great. That's wonderful. Earl's dad, I met before. He's great. He's so old school that he still goes out in the street, starts the car to listen to a ball game. Now that is throwback.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is throwback. Yeah.
That's a cool dude.
Yeah, really.
That's just to stay away from that bitch. He just wants to sit out in the car.
Hey.
No, but you know what I'm saying, Earl. He enjoys his life a little bit.
No, he loves the car. He definitely loves the car. He is a byproduct of the car culture.
Who's his team or teams?
He's Yankees. He actually likes both teams, Yankees and Mets.
All right.
Well, he likes the Yankees. He grew up with them, but he can see the fucking stadium from his house. So how do you not? But for you as a New Yorker, you can't like both.
You
Chris,
can't like both. You
got to pick.
You got to pick one. You got to pick one. Yankees fan. All right.
Yeah.
No, I'm a Yankee fan. I'm a diehard Yankee fan. I'm navy blue, ride and die.
Yeah, all the New York teams, they're not. It's like Auburn, Alabama. You got to pick one.
You got to pick one.
And it's usually the same. Jets fans or Mets fans.
Yeah, it's got X. If it runs with X, you're with them or against them. Tourette's.
Rockettes.
Let's see. If you pick the Yankees, then you're forced to the Giants. And the Rangers and the Knicks.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I was mad at the Giants for leaving Yankee Stadium because they were playing. I thought New Jersey it's out of state, and then
I agree with you.
Left the state.
Yeah.
So you left the state. I said I'm a Jet fan because they stayed for a while. They stayed in New York
City. But the same thing is true with the Redskins in D.C. now. They're not in D.C. anymore. They're in Virginia. It's a Northern Virginia team.
Yeah.
But nobody will call it that.
Now, that's what Jim Kelly's favorite thing when he would always say that the Buffalo Bills are New York State's only football team. The Buffalo Bills are there. And I loved it when he would get on the campaign, because you can't really defeat him on that.
Yeah, that is true. That stadium is in New York. You can't get around it. All right, Earl, a couple people want to bring up about where you say in the musicians list. Ozzy in New York.
Yeah, no, it's not Jamaica. It's Adelaide Park, which is, and Joe was right. It's part of St. Albans. It's a small enclave in St. Albans, Queens, where they lived.
All right.
So it wasn't Jamaica.
It's Queens.
Who all live there, though, Ozzy?
James Brown, Lena
James Brown
Horne.
never lived there.
Lena Horne.
Yeah.
Yeah, Count Basie, John Coltrane, a bunch of them.
And is there still stuff in the neighborhood, Earl? Is there like statues or like a walking tour?
There's a couple of landmark spots. Oddly enough, near the Long Island Railroad Station, they kind of have like this little walk of fame, a hall of fame of everyone.
Right. Now, there's a mural on the wall
there.
right on the station. Yeah, he's right about that.
Yeah.
Finally.
No, James Brown's house used to have white lawn jockeys on it.
Oh, I love
That's
it.
the fucking funniest shit ever. That's the funniest shit ever.
That's right. Take that, bitches.
Yeah. Now, I like, this is the thing about white people is that we get exactly the opposite as offended by that.
I do, yes. It's the greatest thing in the world.
I remember when...
I'm so happy I came to the show today.
Yeah.
My day is made now.
For me, it was Miles Davis. They asked him, they said, what if you knew that you only had an hour left to live? What would you do? And he said, choke a white man. And I thought it was the best fucking line ever. I go, how could you get upset by that?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's on a T-shirt.
Yeah. Hey, David, in Virginia.
First of all, the Redskins aren't in Virginia; they're in Maryland. You may have to break.
I was going to say, it's Landover, Maryland.
I thought that they were moving it to Northern Virginia. They're already done with that.
Yeah, they're done with the stadium in Maryland. They're trying to work it out, possibly going back into D.C. or possibly Virginia. We'll see what Dan Snyder does.
Dude, they should have did that old rickety stadium that used to be scary as shit to play in, and the fucking crowds would go crazy.
RFK.
Oh, you mean RFK? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a badass stadium to have to play an away game in. You just look over and the other team looks scared shitless. Now it's like, who cares where we play? We're fine.
It's all soccer tournaments in the RFK Stadium now, and they're building a soccer stadium, I believe, too.
All right, you know what? I'm going to send, first of all, I'm going to let you bust Earl's balls, and then I'm going to send you into the prize closet for making sure that was wrong, that was in Maryland and not in Northern Virginia. I appreciate that. But
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can I tell you about Louis Armstrong, though?
Yeah, please do.
Corona, I believe, is where the Louis Armstrong house is, in Corona. Look it up. And Clark Terry, another great trumpet player, lived there, and a bunch of other jazz musicians like the Cannonball Adderley and a few others. But I'm sure the other neighborhood they're talking about probably had more.
Now, do you think a lot of people did that just because Louis moved there first?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just to be close
that
to
was
him.
my guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I would live next to Jesus if I could.
Yeah. Just, you know what? We should do a thing where every comic has to live up their own Carlin Street. There should
I'm
be
close.
one,
I'm 20 blocks from it.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not far from there.
That area is, well, it's so nice now.
That's
like
great.
he had done that thing when he was a kid. He said the name of his thing, or as we called it, White Harlem. But you literally at that neighborhood look down on Harlem. There's this giant bluff. And it's gorgeous views, gorgeous neighborhood. Columbia's there. It's just really great.
Morningside Park.
Yeah, Morningside, yeah. But when Carlin, grew up there, you were afraid to, well, at least when he was an adult, he didn't even get on the subway in that area. I remember he did a special, and he was back in his old neighborhood. And he goes, he's going down to Carnegie Hall. How did they get there? He goes, what stop? And people are like, you don't want to get on a fucking train here? What are you, nuts?
I remember, I totally remember that. I completely, I totally.
Earl, you've only lived in Queens, though, right?
Yes. I love it here. It's got everything I like and need here. It's still like the last real community area.
When you had your other apartment, I had dropped him off after this party, and I was coming back to New York, and I'm like, yeah, I'll drop you off in New York, and I'll, go back to Manhattan. I drove out so goddamn far. I started to see the sun coming up. We were going around the globe.
Past Montauk.
Yeah. Yes. Way past.
It's a big borough.
Queens is gigantic. What does it take you to get here by train? Hour and a half, 2 hours?
From Jamaica, about an hour and 15 minutes.
It's crazy to me. You could be living in Connecticut.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah. Right.
Could have like a house upstate.
You should.
No, but if I took the Long Island Railroad, I'm in within 30 minutes. Like literally door to door within 30 minutes.
It's actually closer for you to take the Long Island Railroad.
So you're in Long Island. So many parts of Queens are basically Long Island.
Well, when you're driving out to Long Island and you watch Queens turn into. Like, we're still in Queens, but they have a front yard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is weird.
This isn't
yeah.
Queens.
Where they get those mini mansions that are 2 inches away from each other.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Earl, who's the next president going to be? You know, for Barack Obama to be the perfect black president, he has to hand this off to a Democrat. If not, it's kind of a failure.
It's all sullied.
You know, my head tells me Hillary Clinton. My heart tells me I still think I'm a Bernie dude.
And what about Donald Trump? What are his odds?
Not a chance. Zero.
I just think it's going to happen. I think Trump is going to win.
I think.
We'll see. I don't know.
I mean, it's going to get scary, but I think the implosion is going to come somewhere. It's just going to.
It would have came already.
Do you think?
No.
You don't think
yet.
I think a week out of this country is going to be so fucking crazy. Just people screaming, is this really happening?
Well, we'll know in Cleveland.
Yeah.
The Cleveland, the convention will show a little more about what's going on, but I have no idea. I'm going to I knew, they said before Obama in 2012, so Superstorm Sandy hit about 2 weeks before. And so when Chris Christie had to hug Obama and blow him on the news for a week and a half, I'm like, this is not going to be close at all. I don't even have to vote now. They're our closest one in history. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. Okay, I just saw the Joker blowing Batman on the news. I believe Batman's going to win this.
And people forget this.
And I was no longer concerned. And they were saying it's either going to be 51-49. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm like, this is a lock. When your enemy blows you on the news, this is a lock. I'm no longer worried about the reelection.
Mitt Romney disappeared during that. Like he just trying. Yeah. My old man, who's a Republican, will be on the news like, where is he? Well, who does this?
He had a book to read.
He's my dad. Will still bring that shit.
That's because it's true.
Yeah.
It's the shit. Let's go, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Disaster time.
Yeah.
Fake a speech.
That's
Do
right.
something.
You got to go down there with a shovel and act like you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm doing everything I can. But I don't believe that we're going to get a wall. I don't think that America will put up with a Berlin Wall on our southern border. I think the batshit will really
It can't even happen. That's why it's not going to. It's actually impossible. There's no money to pay.
I was going to say, I would just, if I'm against it, I'm just going to bring up what could better be done with all that money. If you're really going to go all the way and a lot of budget for this, then I'm immediately going to be on the other side going, $500 million. How about some books for the kids in Appalachia?
But do you realize this is the only concrete thing, and I literally mean concrete, that he's running on? He hasn't run up one more specific thing than the wall.
Space.
If you don't want the wall, there's no reason to vote for this guy.
He doesn't have anything else.
No.
There's no plan B.
Just the wall.
And he's not sweating it either. Like, it's not like they say, well, what else are you going to do? He's just like, don't worry about what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I got
the wall. I got other stuff.
Good people. I'm going to get
There's
good people.
So much other stuff I'm going to do.
When the Mexican president came out, Fox, and said, I ain't paying for any fucking wall. It was, to me, this, like, I finally get that politics has caught up with the rest of us. And everyone just talks like they're hanging on a fucking street corner somewhere. Understand this. I ain't paying for a fucking wall, dude. It ain't happening.
We had the son, Trump was on the show, Don Jr. was on with O and J one morning, and I was trying to, and I waited to throw out my horrible joke and asked him, I'm like, does he like guacamole? You know, and he didn't, he was so obtuse, I guess, he thought I was asking him, did he like fast food? He didn't say. You know, I was going, if he was really going to stick on this wall stuff, then he should never eat any Mexican food for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
This is all. And someone, he loves bad food. The McDonald's drive-through, he loves the McNuggets. He just totally went that way with it. I was asking him with the guacamole. It was either the best deflection ever. Oh, yeah. Or he was just so stupid and he missed my horrible joke. But he went right into, no, he eats bad food all the time. That's what people don't realize.
Those Trump kids are on point. I mean, one thing you got to say
They're well trained.
Yeah. I was sitting there going, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I know it's a horrible joke.
But those kids, they never fuck up. They never, you never hear like, the Trump kids were busted uptown like with the Kennedys. You know what I mean? Like, they used to fucking find the Kennedy kids just fucking tied off in Harlem in fucking 81.
Al Gore Jr. is going 106 in a Prius.
Yeah. There was always that kind of shit. Those Trump kids do not fuck up. And their dad wasn't around doting on them, you know it. But I think in the Trump family, there's been no difference between personal life and work life. It's just a 24-hour thing.
Yeah, you're a Trump all the time.
You're just a Trump. That's what you do. And those kids, I don't know how they pulled it off, but they seem to be doing fine, compared.
She's in there's a documentary about all of the getting spoiled and being rich.
I saw that.
Yeah, and she's great in it.
She's great.
She doesn't deny it. She owns it and is pretty cool about it. It's she's a lot better than a lot of the other shitheads that are in the thing.
Yeah, they have like the Johnson & Johnson kids, and they're just like, fuck everyone!
She's the only normal one in
and
the
she's like,
documentary.
you gotta work for money and you give back, and you're like, she's really... I even think right now, they talk about a VP. If he picked his daughter, I think it'd be the best movie ever made.
Wow.
That might help.
Because I think I could vote for her. Yeah. Really. And those boys, they're like, they don't act like, oh, this is a man's game. This goes to the oldest. It seems like it's her first.
Yeah, definitely.
And then everybody falls in and knows how to do their gig.
Wow, that's so interesting because there's so much about just trying to figure out what kind of person could compliment him.
Yeah.
And it might have to be someone in his own crew. It might have to be his daughter.
Because that's how he's done his business. It's his kids, George, that guy George.
George is awesome.
George is fabulous, yeah.
But I've seen Trump, this is before he was running, he was like, look at my daughter, she's beautiful. Sometimes I wish she wasn't my daughter,
Yeah, he's blurred the creepy line a million times. He has blurred the creepy, you didn't know this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's totally. So.
I can't tell you how deep I'd get into this if I had the opportunity. See, I think that's the thing that's going to come back on him is no one's brought up his 80s dating, 90s dating. I mean, he's married 3 times, and I know a certain billionaire that supposedly, he hung out with, and there's been some stuff there.
Sure.
Same one Bill Clinton has hung out with, but I don't know. Maybe that
they're
doesn't
waiting.
But I don't know if that means
nobody
shit
cares,
to people
right? I
anymore.
wouldn't think anybody cares about fucking.
But if somebody had something big, it would not you would need to wait. You would need to wait
still
until.
Sit on, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I'm saying
do it a week out because of Americans' inability to remember anything. It's got to be a beautiful wall. Look, forget what she's saying. There's a wall going up. Really? Yeah. And I'm running that wall right up to Jersey Shore. What? This is going to be the best election ever.
I can't wait.
I feel, if you ask me today, I think Trump's going to win it. I really feel that way.
My mom's 83, and she said the same thing the other day I was talking to her. She's like, I'm very excited. I can't believe. She wishes her dad. My granddad lived to 99. He was just a news junkie.
Right.
From when he was 20 till he was 99, he never got any Alzheimer's. And all he did, even at 99, was wake up in the morning and turn on the radio at 7 a.m. and get a magnifying glass and start reading the newspaper while he's listening to news on the radio and checking in all day long. And he couldn't hear, and you have to yell at him, but it would be totally accurate. Whenever you're screaming at him, it was something that happened that day, and he was right. And that's what she said. She goes, if Daddy was alive, he'd be so excited about this. So, she goes, I'm excited. I don't even care about anything. She's not nearly as news junkie as he was. And she's like, I'm excited. I just don't know what's going to happen. I'm fascinated.
It's a blast. It's sport. It really does become sport.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
It's pro wrestling in suits. That's what I've used to, it's a lot of.
All right, Earl, what is going to happen to the last black president that we'll ever have? What will he do next?
First and last.
Is that the last black president?
Oh, yeah. We're done. We're done.
No.
We proved that we could do it.
Yeah.
Is he going to revive the And One tour and just take it on the road?
What's he going to do next?
You know what? I know you said it. I was like, he's going to probably be the most outspoken ex-president in history.
I mean, he's more relaxed now.
Yeah, he's cool. He's even cooler.
No, he's in this. He's gonna. He's kind of in. Like everyone remembers Jackie Robinson. When he couldn't talk for. Couldn't really say what he feel for 2 years or whatever it was. He's in the post phase now, where he's like he doesn't care. He's like, I'm just going to say whatever I'm going to say.
Are you saying Jackie Robinson blew at the end of his career?
No,
he just didn't have it. Willie Mays.
He wasn't as outspoken.
How come no one brings up Willie Mays?
Willie Mays.
Willie Mays still alive.
Willie Mays.
Still alive.
Best.
Still alive.
The best.
The Say Hey Kid.
Willie Mays. What's that from?
Basquiat.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, he's waking up, Jean-Michel Basquiat going, Willie Mays. Willie Mays.
Just because it's another talented black person from a totally different thing. You're Willie Mays.
Great film.
Yeah, love that movie too.
Outstanding. And a wonderful artist. I've got a coffee table book of his stuff somewhere.
I adore him. He's my favorite.
And I don't know why, because I feel like I can paint as good as him. But
I feel like you could do anything as good as anybody, I believe.
I just go there and I look at his stuff and I'm like, oh, fuck, it would have been doable if I would have just stayed with it.
And he said, too, he was like, I know you guys don't believe me, but I actually can paint. He swore that he had like a...
He could actually do a still somewhere. Earl.
Really nice.
All right, buddy, we're going to let you go, all right?
We kept Earl on the phone for a long time, I believe.
Are you at work, girl? You're supposed to be doing something?
I believe for work, actually.
Well, just, let Johnny know that you were promoting Hard Rock on the air. He'll be happy with it.
Hard Rock Cafe, Times Square, come on by. Good food, good times, good tunes.
How'd the pig sandwich?
Good tune.
Oh, boy. Well, this is your time of year, too, right? The summer?
Yeah, it's about to get, super crazy busy, but, it's a good thing.
I don't know.
Better to be busy than not busy.
I can't stand when everybody comes to the city. Starts to drive me nuts. This area, we work in horrible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Christmas season was awful in this area. And
Christmas season's bad, but summer's bad, too.
But I hadn't been in Midtown in a long time where I had to deal with it during working hours through the winter. And it's horrible.
Well, everybody comes in that's close, but then a lot of people just take their vacation. To be in New York and Christmas, get out of here. Magical. You're like, oh my God.
The store windows alone. The store windows are just amazing.
Look at the size of that tree. It's
That's an
gotta
angel.
be tall.
How'd they get those lights on that angel?
Always great to see you stop in, dude. And you're doing great.
Anytime, man.
You're doing great.
Sure.
With OP2. I love
Follow me on the Twitter. I don't answer anybody, but I'm on there.
Yes.
On Twitter at Vic Henley and live from Louis Cruz.
Live from Louis Cruz is my CD. Download that. Yeah,
that's available on iTunes.
I need the cash.
All right, who we got next?
Coming up next is Innovators of Entertainment, brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka, distilled 6 times from 100% corn and naturally gluten-free. Coming up is Brian Volk-Weiss. Brian is the president of Comedy Dynamics, the largest producer of one-hour comedy specials in the United States.
And he's actually going to talk specials with us and different platforms. It's pretty interesting. Coming up next, Brian Volk-Weiss. This is Bennington.
Innovators of Entertainment is brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka. Distilled 6 times from 100% corn and naturally gluten-free. Come visit us at titosvodka.com.
Brian Volk-Weiss is in studio with us. He is the president of Comedy Dynamics, the largest producer of one-hour comedy specials in the United States, and the 3rd season of Coming to the Stage premieres on Hulu May 18th. Thank you so much for stopping by to do this with us.
Thank you for having me.
I think the business of comedy changes every single year.
It's unbelievable.
And you guys, of course, are on the forefront of that.
We're very privileged. The volume in which we operate allows us to see patterns. So if I could make this sound as boring as possible, I just did it. We see these changes. And by the way, it's so funny. I thought you were going to say it changes daily, but you went with yearly. I would almost go so far as to say over the last, say, 3 years, it could be, you can see trends changing in 6-month intervals, if not sooner. I mean, it's really, really interesting what's going on. And I would also say the first 5 to 8 years that I was doing it, there were no changes.
Right.
Like none. Like year 1 to year 8, I was doing the exact same thing in year 8, and then every 3 to 9 months over the last 3 to 4 years, change.
Well, it's not so much what's changing in the way of content, but the platforms, the way that you present it, and you came in at a time that had been set up. Dennis Miller has a special to do. Let's go to HBO. If they don't want it, it's Showtime.
Right.
If not, that's gone. Right,
correct.
That would be the end of it.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the analogy that I always give to illustrate this point. I have a piece of paper on my desk, literally Scotch tape to my desk. I've been doing this for over 10 years, and it will shoot a special, and then it will have the names of the potential buyers for a special. For the first at least 5, maybe 8 years that I was doing this, I had like 3 names or 4 names, and HBO really wasn't buying the kind of stuff that I was doing back then. So it was really only 3 names. It was Comedy Central, Showtime, and, HBO was on the list, but it was primarily Comedy Central and Showtime. Then, and that was for years. I mean, years and years. And then, all of a sudden, Netflix came around, then Epix came around, now there's CISO. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable.
And they're looking for comedy also to be developed in ways that isn't just the straight stand-up.
Correct.
The way that we thought about. Because we used to have evening at the Improv or 1-hour comedy specials. That was it. But now they're looking for all kinds of different things.
Yeah, they want everyone, and it's a cliche, but first of all, sometimes cliches are cliches because they're true. But the other thing which I find very interesting is, sometimes you hear the same request or the same need over and over and over again, but things don't change. Now I think things are really changing. So you're seeing a lot of experimentation. You're seeing a lot of, comedy starting off in the clubs, and in what you used to see for years was, the example I always give in this case is like, you go to the Detroit Motor Show and you would see this crazy car that looked like it was from the future. And 6 years later, when it was on the street, it looked like every other car.
Right.
Well, the same thing used to happen with comedy, where you would see these comedians that were alt, and they would be these crazy alt comics, like, oh, they'll never make it out of here. And slowly but surely, they would, depending on your outlook in life, either be beaten down or get with the program, however you want to look at it. And they would slowly start to become a lot closer to mainstream. Now what you're seeing, which I think is really, really cool, is that process isn't happening the way it used to, if at all. So what you were doing in the clubs can very honestly be what you're doing on your album and what you're doing in your special. And there's not only is there a market for it, but the reason why there is a market for it is the buyers want a big audience, and because there's a market for it, they're going to buy it. So it's phenomenal.
Yeah, but at the same time, and you're talking about looking for patterns, you've got to make sure that your guys aren't doing something just so they can do it. Like if it's the 90s, you don't want to say, well, ska is hot. Billy Joel, go do a ska album as soon as you can.
Sure.
So your idea is make sure some of these things have lasting, because a lot of times we'll look back at a comedy special that seems so fresh at one time, and it ages really quickly.
Completely. And I'll be very honest with you. I have made complete peace with the fact that I don't have a crystal ball or a time machine. There are many things in our culture now that are popular or unpopular that were the opposite 10 to 20 to 50 years ago.
Sure.
So I've made peace with this. So my way of handling this problem is just not to deal with it. So the way I just look at it, almost everything we do, I used to be a manager. I was a manager for a long time. And I think I picked this up from my managing days, and I only represented comedians. We really use the road business. I get the road numbers every day. So I will see what an artist is doing in Chicago in 2013, 14, and 15. That will help me make a decision as to whether or not it's someone that we should be, this is someone we have to be in business with. That has a lot to do with it, the road business. The other thing is also, and again, this is not an exact science and it's cheesy, but does it make me laugh? And that's really what I go with, is those two things. And we've done all right.
So you're actually like Nike looking at high school basketball players, where you're like, okay, here's a kid, maybe in 4 years he'll be ready. So let's keep an eye on him as he's out there working, right? Because most people, I think, you don't want to do the special too soon.
I get calls sometimes from agents and managers putting me on the phone with their clients, convincing them not to do specials.
Right.
So I could not, absolutely you don't want to do it you don't want to do it too soon. I like that. I've never heard the Nike analogy before, and I'm going to embrace it and go a little bigger with it. We're exactly like Nike in that regard, in that, yes, we're going to the high schools, but we're also trying to talk to Michael Jordan.
Right.
So we work, we operate at all levels. This month alone, literally just May of this year, we have Ali Wong coming out on Netflix. That was someone that, we just really believed in and embraced, but I would say most people have not heard her name yet. We have Michael Ian Black coming out on Epix. He's somebody who, if you are if you're a comedy lover and, you're in that kind of, niche space, you probably have heard of Michael Ian Black. And then we have Larry the Cable Guy and, Jeff Foxworthy coming out. And that could not be a more different audience than the first two specials that I mentioned. So, and then we have Coming to the Stage, our show on Hulu, that premieres on Hulu, all about, and that is where your Nike analogy for the up-and-comers is 100% accurate.
But Coming to the Stage is hosted by...
this season it was hosted by Tom Green.
Yeah.
The first two seasons was Dan Levy, and the 2 seasons after this are Andy Kindler.
So, we're talking about Tom Green. He was the guy that was so bizarre when he broke, and now he's kind of an elderly statesman. He's become a great storyteller. Yeah. And, but if we would have thought that back, when he first broke, we're like, this kid's crazy.
Absolutely.
We believed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like you're reading my mind. I mean, literally, that's what I've been saying about him. He's become an elder statesman. Yeah. And he hosted the hell out of the show. Could not have been better, for all the up and coming, comics that did the show. And like I said, it's the 3rd season. So we're starting to get a little bit better at, figuring out the direction of the show, how much we do up front. There's an interstitial every episode. So, the first season, we probably had a little bit too much time for the interstitial. And now we're having as much time for the stand up as possible. And we've sped up the credits to make that happen. We've cut the length of the interstitial, and Tom is the glue of season 3.
Well, we're at this point where it feels like it's a great explosion for comedy. It's all over. Obviously, you're talking about all these great acts. Some who've only been in it for a couple of years. Some have been in it for, 30 years. Some of the guys that you're talking about. But at what point do you have to protect the bubble from being popped? Do you have to make sure the audience isn't getting more than they can handle? I get asked this every now and then, and my response to this is, I don't know if there's a bubble. I think that a bubble makes sense for real estate prices. I think that a bubble could make sense for certain stocks and yields. Like, I don't think there's a bubble for comedy. I really don't. Yeah. My rationale backing up that opinion, which I could, it's an opinion, I could be completely wrong. But my rationale is, what's happened is, up until probably about 5 or 6 years ago, if you wanted to get into comedy, there was a huge barrier to entry, which was, it was an hour. So, a lot of people are born, if your parents are baseball fans, you're probably going to be a baseball fan. But there as many people are into baseball, or as not as many people are into stand-up, right? So for the last, let's say 50 years, if you wanted to get into stand-up, something had to click, something had to happen to get you into it. But the main problem was, for all the other people that didn't get into it, the barrier, it was like an hour. So if you're watching TV and this new comedian comes on Comedy Central or HBO or Showtime, you had to sit there and say, I've never heard of this person, but I am going to give this person an hour of my time. There's 1,000 other things I could be doing, but I'm going to sit here and watch him for an hour, or her. A lot of people don't do that. But what happened probably about 5 or 6 years ago, when the iPhone came out and YouTube finally really became this thing, is you can get hooked in little pieces. You can get hooked in 5-minute segments. So basically, you could be on the train, or you could be whatever, bored at work, and you get a text from your friend. Oh my God, you got to see Tom Segura. He's so funny. Who's Tom Segura? I never heard of Tom Segura. So instead of sitting at home and having to give Tom Segura an hour, you just have to give him 5 minutes. That 5 minutes makes you laugh. Then you're at home. Then you see Tom Segura's, oh, he's on Netflix. Oh, yeah. All right. I'll give him an hour of my time. All right.
Then you watch him, you love him, then you start sending out that 5-minute clip to all your other friends, and then Tom Segura comes to your neighborhood, he comes to Cincinnati and he performs, and you shell out the $60 for 2 tickets and all the food and every 2-drink minimum to go see him. So that's why I don't think there's really a bubble, because I think the thing that's feeding this modern, or what I consider to be the biggest, it's not even a renaissance. I think we're living in the garden zone of comedy, the garden period of comedy. I really think we're in a position where there's just so many people at the base of the triangle getting into it that it'll just keep growing as long as there's new comics, and as you know, that's not going away.
No, that's not going away. Well, by the way, before I'll get into my point, but Tom Segura, that Netflix special worked for him the way that the Tonight Show worked for David Brenner in the 1970s. I mean, he really was an overnight success with that, and most people don't know how long it took him to get to that spot, but he was perfectly placed where that special now made him a household name pretty quick. But I think of what you guys are doing and why it kind of makes sense is that it is somewhat narrow casting, that you don't know how, if you're a Louis Anderson fan, you might not bump into Cat Williams, right? There's just, that name is not going to go to you.
Sure.
In the old days, you had to please an entire nation.
Yep.
And now you guys can pick out where does this guy fit best, whether it's CISO, whether it's Comedy Central.
Right.
Yeah.
And Comedy Central, it's not the case, but, Netflix is a great example. To a certain extent, HBO is as well. Netflix just put out an announcement a couple weeks ago of their next couple specials coming out. Ali Wong was on that.
Yeah.
Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Foxworthy was on it. What company before them could do both?
Right.
I mean, that's an amazing thing. So to your point, yeah, we're very blessed to be doing this at this time.
And they know how to market to each person to know whether they're going to be an Ali Wong fan.
They absolutely know how to market, and what I'm about to say does not take away from their marketing prowess. They're second to none when it comes to marketing. But that being said, and this ties back to what you were saying about Tom Segura, it's also about the algorithm. And you hear that word algorithm and you think code and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not bullshit. It's a very real thing. If you're watching Louis and you're watching, 7 or 8 comedians, there's a very good chance that the algorithm will correctly get that, yes, you will like Tom Segura.
Yeah.
If you're watching a certain type of movie, there's a very good chance you will like Jeff Foxworthy or Larry the Cable Guy. It's just a fact. I'd say if they send it to every 100 people, they probably get it right, somewhere between 92 and 96 times. So it's not just that Tom Segura's special was on Netflix. It's that, in addition to what I was saying about people forwarding clips around, Netflix was literally saying to its viewers, hey, you like this guy, check out Tom.
Right.
And that is, again, also a big part of why I don't think there's going to be a bubble, because I just think there's more accurate directing of people to stuff they're going to like.
So it's not that there's less gatekeepers, it's the gatekeepers are working smarter and they have more tools than they had years ago. Because I think a lot of times I worry about young people just breaking out and trying to do it on their own and flooding the internet with their material before they're ready.
Well, it's interesting. There are a lot more gatekeepers, but the old gatekeeper, Johnny Carson, was too powerful.
Right.
If you look at all the big shows, all the big comedies in the 80s and 90s, if Johnny didn't bless them, we're talking about Roseanne, Ray Romano, if he didn't bless them, how many people had big comedy careers? Bill Cosby, to a certain extent, you could say he got an early pass because of how long his career, how early he had started. But other than Cosby, how many people didn't get blessed by Johnny Carson? What's happening now is there's more gatekeepers, but because there's more competition and because most importantly, the appetite is just so big for, stand up right now. It gets out there a hell of a lot more. And to your point, they still are keeping the quality high. So you could, obviously there's no way to track this, but let's say any given year, there's 100,000 new stand-ups. Just use a round number. Every year, boom, over a 12-month period, 100,000 people get up for the first time at an open mic. Do I think now that there's 200,000? Has it doubled? I don't think so, but it's probably 150,000. It's probably gone up by about 50%, whatever the number actually is. That said, there's still the gatekeepers. So no matter, if you make the assumption that 10% of every group is going to be phenomenal, now instead of having 10,000 great comedians moving on the way up, we have 15,000 awesome comedians on the way up. And those gatekeepers act as, for lack of a better word, quality control, for America.
You know, I was talking to Patrice O'Neal years ago, and he said he only wanted 100,000 fans that could pay attention to him. If he got 100,000, he'd be happy. And I think back, he was so far ahead of the time because he knew he wasn't going to be for everybody, you know?
Well, I would say that if he had lived longer, he would have been.
Yeah.
I mean, Louis is a great example of somebody that, I mean, let's be honest, I think 10 years before he blew up, maybe even 5 years before he blew up, I don't know how many people would have been like, this guy is going to be selling out Madison Square Garden one day. I am as biased as it gets because I love the guy. I think Patrice would have been selling out Madison Square Garden.
You think it would have been
absolutely, and the United Center and the Staples Center. I mean, he was truly one of the greats. And the other thing is, and this has a lot to do with what we're talking about as well, a lot of it is about your friends too. So Patrice was friends with all these people who were blowing up. So all these people who are blowing up would have been in a position to have him open for them, put them on their TV shows. Again, crazy conversation to have. I'd bet all the money I have that he would have been selling out arenas at least.
So a lot of it has to do with just the timing and being prepared when that timing
Absolutely.
hits.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cheesy saying. I don't know who came up with it, but I heard it once. It takes a lifetime to become an overnight sensation. And that's, I think it takes, based on me watching this process year after year for about 18 years now, I mean, I think it takes at least 7 years to get proficient. And then if you're really lucky or you happen to be the right look that the casting directors are looking for that pilot season, you might get off, you might get lucky in that regard and go. But I'd say it's a minimum 7-year commitment to start, and then it could be another 15 years.
Well, I think of a lot of comedians who, like, that was the worst thing that happened to them, that they got noticed and got put into a sitcom or something 2-3 years in and never developed to be the act that they could have been, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, I won't, by no means, I'm not going to sit here and name names, but there are, I would say, probably between 15 and 20 stand-ups who had shows named after them that have told me directly worst thing that ever happened to them.
Yeah. I have a very good friend that went down with. Brian Volk-Weiss is in with us. He's the president of Comedy Dynamics, which is the largest producer of 1-hour comedy specials. But now that's just the tip of the arrow. This is the 3rd season of Coming to the Stage that premieres on Hulu May 18th. And what you want to do with this show is you want to have some people that are seen for the first time.
That's the whole point of the show.
By the audience.
So what we have been extremely, very, very lucky and privileged to have happen to us is because of the volume in which we operate, we are constantly getting calls from agents and lawyers and managers saying, hey, you got to look at this client. You got to come out to the club. You check out this link, check out this tape, yada, yada, yada. So these calls were coming in with such volume, and they were so good. Like, these were obviously all going to be very successful stand-ups that 2 years ago we said, you know what? We got to do something. And again, it sounds funny. It sounds simple. You might even think this is a metaphor, but it's not. We literally were like, well, we have the cameras. We have the lights. We have the relationships. We have the editing bays. Why don't we just make our own show? And that's what we did.
And you don't have a gun stuck to your head as if you took this idea to the networks where they're sitting around expecting.
No, we do it. It premieres on Hulu, and then it goes to all of our other platforms. We're on 27 platforms, including Hulu. And like I said, it premieres on Hulu. It's exclusive to Hulu for a week. And then it goes all over the world, including from Roku to YouTube to Xbox to PlayStation, you name it. But the thing which is really cool, like, I am such a blessed person. I am so lucky. Like, I mean, I literally cannot, like, even here with you, I can't believe this is happening. So, but there are so many moments I've had like this in my career. One of my favorite, I mean, truly in the top 0.00001% greatest things I've ever seen was, this is about 6 months ago. A very good friend of mine. He's an agent at WME, touring agent, was with his client, huge client, and they're in the dressing room waiting for the show to start. And he saw on the table the sheet that his client was the crib sheet that his client was going to hold to basically say, hey, you've seen him on this, you've seen him on that. And he saw that sheet of paper and he looked at it and he saw Coming to the Stage season 2. He took a picture of it and sent it to me. I have that framed in my office at home. I mean, that is exactly what we're trying to do. That's exactly what we're trying to be about. In general, yes, but with this show in particular, so many people need their first credit.
Sure.
So many people need someone to say, you know what, we're going to turn on the cameras and hit record and you do your thing. And the fact that we're able to do this the way we are, we shoot them in 4K now. We're actually, the last season we shot in VR. Like it's unbelievable. And it's the epitome of what we set out to do.
And that's kind of the fun thing that can happen, because that's where the big jump can happen. You know, you can't turn around to somebody who's been doing this a long time and expect another big jump in their career. But with the young guys, the new guys, it's always possible.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the other thing that we can do to cheat a little bit is we can put them in our other shows.
Right.
So we do Craig Ferguson's show on History Channel. You know, we had a lot of the people from season 1 coming to the stage on our History Channel show. So like we're able. So first of all, we are, I'm biased, but we are for right or for wrong, we are looked at by the television business as a company that knows comedy.
Right.
So when people say to us, hey, who should we be looking at? Who are you excited about? Thanks to Coming to the Stage, I can say, oh, you know who you got to talk to? Oh, you got to talk to, X, Y, or Z. Like, that's the thing that Coming to the Stage allows us to do, is in addition to doing big 7-figure specials, we're able to be working with, people that we think will be running their own shows, let's say 2 to 3 years from now.
Well, Craig Ferguson is an interesting guy to bring up, because it's been so rare for people to be able to jump from England to the States. Scotland. But, I meant Britain, I guess. But he is a guy who did it pretty flawlessly. Seems like it's happening more and more.
Sure.
So is this opening up to be a worldwide? Trevor Noah is from South Africa, which is stunning to see him get the Daily Show after that.
No, it's becoming a world. I mean, just look at Netflix. I mean, they're a worldwide company.
So you just expect it. I mean, it's kind of mind blowing, but maybe within one of the things that you're reading for the future is that world tours will be done the same way that they are with rock bands.
Absolutely. I mean, Kevin Hart basically just did a world tour. I mean, if you look at his tour schedule over the last 18 months, definitely a world tour.
Yeah. It's an amazing change that's taken place, and I guess you got to stay on your toes with it every single day to make sure you're not dropping the ball. Not today, but 5 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, it's all we do. So all I got to do is go to work and keep working. So it's not, I'm talking to the agents and managers every day. We speak. We have when you do a special with a comedian, it's a very intimate relationship. There's money being exchanged.
Sure.
There's marketing, creative decisions being made. Specials we shot 11, 12 years ago, we're still, we're sending royalty payments to. So it's a very intimate relationship between a production company and an artist. So going back to your point about staying on our toes, just going into work in the morning and doing our jobs, it keeps us in that world. I don't have a fear of, we're going to miss the next Patrice O'Neal.
Yeah.
For a bunch of reasons. First of all, if we quote missed Patrice O'Neal, he'll do more than one special, so maybe we'll get one down the line. A, that happens all the time. Or B, the volume in which there are so many A+ comedians now to be in business with at all levels. There's room for, there's room for a lot of people.
Well, I read you when you're on the Interrobang. I read your column every single time, and I find it to be fascinating because no one kind of speaks the way you speak in public, and it's amazing how many young people don't know how the business works that they've joined. So I think that's helpful. But I saw you talking about Gary Goldman and whether he wants to. his new special.
The best.
Have you seen it?
I have.
It's just
the best.
phenomenal.
Yeah, no, he's the best.
Yeah,
he's the best. It's funny. Those interviews.
Yeah.
And again, all this stuff is very new to me.
Yeah.
So for me, I get on the phone with a very nice lady, once a month, and we, from my point of view, we're just shooting the shit, and then. I get a text from Goldman being like, dude, thanks. That was so cool of you. And it's like, it doesn't seem real, for lack of a better word. But so the reason I bring this up is, I'm like now a walking billboard for Gary Goldman.
Well,
so,
I'll tell you why I love that is very few people are speaking the way that you're speaking. And it's a very confusing business,
Sure.
I think, in a lot of ways. I think it's more confusing than if you wanted to be a professional baseball player.
Absolutely.
Because you know how those stages work.
There's rules.
So I think that what you're doing with those articles are fascinating. I hope you keep them up because
glad you like them.
It's interesting stuff. I hope I can get you back on this show too.
This was,
like
truly, I'm not using this word accidentally. I mean, this was a real honor, man.
Thank you so much. Brian Volk-Weiss, third season of Coming to the Stage premieres on Hulu May 18th. And if you want to go, just check out comedydynamics.com. Let you know all the stuff that they're involved in. It's really fascinating work. And I hope we do this again.
Me too.
See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!